Azim, how are you? Mr. Miah. You're a podcast. You're meant to be professional.
No, listen.
Of all the people I've had in, you're meant to be the best one at being on mic.
The way you whispered it, you're like, Azim.
Yeah, I got real intimate with it. I got up next to the mic.
You leaned in so close. I was like, what's going on?
It's like an ASMR podcast.
So you're like my therapist. Like, what's going on, Mr. Wesley?
Not much is going on. What about you? You were about to tell me about a project you've been writing in isolation. So let's go back to that.
There's a lot to uncover. So this is a lot of content right
we
there.
Got time.
So during isolation, of course, you might message me sometimes saying, "Oh, are you free for a shoot?" All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I say,
that feels so long ago.
That
feels like another lifetime ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
3 months ago, probably.
Yeah, 4 months at most.
It's September as well. Oh shit!
We're in the next academic year now.
Fuck. But yeah, I was in like project mode, as we'll say, which means I'm fully focused. I don't want any distractions. I'm literally in that headspace where I'm constantly writing, and I just need to let it all out because I'm in that state of mind. So that took me around, I guess, full-on concentrated deep work. 3 months. Just full-on
writing. So just pre-production.
Pre-production. And pre-production's not even fully done. As well. The hard part, because you got to figure out locations. I need to talk to the actors as well. Lighting setup, floor, but it's so much stuff, man. I need to get a sound operator guy, all that kind of shit. Behind the scenes photographer, all that kind of stuff.
Video scares the shit out of me.
It is
honestly
not easy.
It's terrifying.
It's fucking horrifying.
Is it like? I'm a photographer, and when I hear you talking about all these different considerations, I'm like, fuck, man, it's ridiculous. Like, for me, it's like lighting. That's basically, and I'm like, okay, we're good.
Sound as well.
Yeah,
sound
it can be windy. It can
break,
be. Oh yeah, 100%. This is like the opposite of photography of podcasts, because it's like visuals don't fucking matter, but the audio's got to be there.
Yeah.
And then photography's the other one, but like putting it together in a video is like a bit out of my league. Gonna be honest. Like you saying 3 months sounds crazy, but I can see how it like takes that long to get all of like. Well, but what is the project? Can you reveal it, or is it top secret?
Can I
is it
say? It's about heartbreak,
right?
And it's my first ever heartbreak, and I want to express that in an artistic way, because I feel like a lot of disrespect has happened to me over the past year. Well, I'll probably even say the past decade, because I'm very light-hearted. If someone is rude to me, I'm like, oh, it's cool, it's cool. I'm like civil with it. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, if you disrespect me, it's gonna be a huge fucking problem. Right. Because of course, like, you're wasting my time, you're wasting my energy, and I can't be around people like that. But the project itself is mainly, how can I pitch it in a way that's very brief but not too spoiler heavy?
It's like that's a weird thing that I've found. I'm working on my like third year project as well, and I've been like plotting that at the moment, and I've been doing sketchbook work, and then there was a point where I still can't squeeze it down to like 1 or 2 sentences to like briefly get across the idea without it sounding like just crazy talk, you know what I mean? So I get what you mean. It's hard. It's almost like you need to do it, and then afterwards it's like the pieces come together and you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to do. Now I was the one doing it, but I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I find that in a lot of times, like I found it more at uni, where they're like, the deadline's now, so you've got to like finish it, and then they're like, so what's it about? And you're like, I still don't fucking know. Like, I have no clue what it's about. Like, I kind of have a vague idea, and then like, you get the grade back, and then you're like, man, I figured it out now. But if I'd wrote down what I figured out now, it would have been so much better. Now I've got all the, the bullshit and the stressing out the way, but it's the way it goes. The project still exists, so
I'll be waiting on it, man.
What, my third year one?
Yeah.
Let's hope it goes well first, because at the moment it's still just
up in the air.
A few pages of research and ideas, and it's it's got a year to go, so it might completely transform itself into something else by that time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think third year projects are the exciting one on any course, because it's like what you want to do for a year,
and no one could tell you, oh, you can't do that, well, it's my project, thank you very much.
Yeah, true.
Don't try to like be like, maybe you could try this, but you'd be like, no, stop, my project, you listen to me this time. And I can't wait to like say that to my lecturers because they can't do nothing. What are they going to do? Be like, oh, you can't do that. I'm going to kick you off the course. You can't. My project.
True.
You listen to me. Thank you.
Yeah. They can just spite you in the background afterwards. That's what they'll do. Yeah.
But you mentioned describing in 1 or 2 sentences. I actually can describe it in 1 or 2 sentences, but it's in my phone.
Perfect.
Like I got basically it's like a 1-page treatment.
Mm.
So like it goes over the genre, the length, where I'm going to distribute it, the synopsis, so like beginning, middle, end, and also the log line. So it's like a 1-sentence, 2-sentence summary.
Right.
But I can't remember off the top of my head. It's in my phone. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Have you got your phone?
Oh yeah, I got my phone.
Get it up. Go for it, man.
Keep
that's
talking.
what they're for. Keep talking. I'll narrate it. He's logging into his phone. His password, ladies and gentlemen, is.
Well, it's a 6-number password because of a new iPhone update a while ago.
That is.
Fuck me. Where is this? Shit.
I'm just seeing files fly past his face in his glasses.
Can you see it? Oh, I found it.
You got it. Nice.
So, lost between dream and reality, a man resembling a puppet must battle his senses to unravel his heartbreak, revealing a deeper part of himself that he's been trying to avoid.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, so there's like, there's so much to go. So there's like the subconscious and conscious, dream and reality, what's real, what's not. Because it's a docufiction as well.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah, which is your specialty.
Exactly.
Is
and
it
also,
specialty or specialisation?
It's like autobiographical.
It's what you do. It's what I think of when I think of your stuff.
Because I like to be very personal. Because how often do you get to see autobiographical films?
Not often, unless the person's been dead for 100 years.
Exactly.
And someone else decides to do it. You know what I mean? So.
It's just like I wanna, because you know, like when you listen to albums, especially from rap. I'm not sure about other genres, so I can't comment on that. But hip hop, it's mainly autobiographical. So it's like they talk about their life, their experiences, how they grew up. So I took a lot of inspiration from that, applied to film, and then do my own thing, you know.
Sick. It's funny you bring that up because when you mentioned like, it's about heartbreak, my mind went immediately to Eagle, that album. I was like,
I knew someone was going to say it.
It was the first thing I was like, dude, that album's fucking amazing.
I bet someone else said 808s and Heartbreak by Kanye West as well, which I actually took more inspiration from 808s than Eagle, but they're both inspirations. And the funny thing is, have I said the title? No, I haven't said the title of the project.
You haven't.
Fuck it. It's called The Puppet Theory. And there's a song on Eagle called Puppet. And when I heard it, I was like, hang on a second. It sounds like me.
That was a good one as well.
That was like, I think my top... Fuck. I was going to say top 3, but then I remembered all the other tracks in my head as well.
Top 3 of all time, or just off that album?
On the album.
Not
of all time.
That's
a statement,
man. That is... Whew. Top 3 tracks
I'm not
of all
that
time.
controversial, mate. Come on. So mainly, I guess, some people might be listening right now saying, why is it taking 3 months to just make a project? It's only 20 minutes long. But the thing is, it's like, I'm not just writing a script, done. I'm writing another script and another script and another script because I have to make the perfect version.
Yeah,
you know?
so different drafts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's some things I just didn't like in the previous drafts because it just...
They don't work anymore. I think that's what happens when you work through a project because things change. So the stuff you were doing at the start that worked really well then no longer fit, and it's that idea of
it just doesn't age well.
You hear it in other creative fields where they're like, you got to be willing to kill your babies.
Yeah, you know they say that in screenwriting all the time.
You just got to let it go. You know what I mean? It's
hard.
It's hard. I can imagine it's hard in film because it just doesn't leave pre-production. In photography, though, it's like pretty easy. It's like, here's a set of images, here's another set of images, and then you try and put them together. It doesn't really work, and you have to get rid of some. But it's like, you still have the images. You can use them later or use them for something else.
In film, you can't.
In film, it's just gone. It feels like it's just on its own.
It's like there's photography and also music. It's like obviously when the artist makes music for their album, if songs don't make it, I probably might release it later because they can all just record it and do it. But when it comes to film, you have to get this person, this person, this person, this person, and then record it. And who knows if it might even show up to the scene, like in the final cut.
Yeah, if it even gets past the editing
and even
room.
Money as well, time. You have to get people that it's just
It's worth it though. I can imagine that, like, sitting back and looking at something finished. It's like you don't see the money at that point, do you? You know what I mean? Unless you're really broken the bank on it and you're starving, then you're like, fuck. But if you've managed it well afterwards, it's like it's almost always worth it. And I think that's like a benefit of doing a personal thing as well, because it's like it's personal to you. One thing, a question that is sticking out to me right now. You've explained this. What do you think of? Because you said who's making autobiographical films, and at the time I went like, oh, I don't know, and then I was like, no, I do know. Fucking Alejandro Jodorowsky. His last 3 films have been autobiographical, and his older ones.
Shit.
I thought you kind of would know because well, one, you're a film student, so. But you mentioned, but the stuff you're talking about there, like, I can see it as a Jodorowsky film, like, already, like elements of his films that have like.
You just send me a link.
I'll suggest, dude. I've got the collection, like the. It's not all of his ones. It's the Holy Mountain.
Holy Mountain, yeah.
So good.
I don't get it,
dude. I also don't get it. He is. Do you know what though? Kanye West, which you mentioned earlier, says Jodorowsky is one of his biggest influence. Really? And they like met at one point, and Jodorowsky's like this old 80-year-old like Chilean Russian guy. Like, I don't know who Kanye West is, but he's like height of Kanye West being like, I want to meet him. They're like, yeah, we'll hook it up, and Alejandro's just like, fine, okay. I don't know who he is though. Yeah, it was yeah, it's a weird thing because like I fucking love his work just because it's one of those artists in a field that you find when you've listened or you've watched or you've looked at too much of that thing, and then you find them and it's like a breath of fresh air. Like MF Doom, you know what I mean? You listen to too much hip hop, like
Food, Mandarin,
if you introduce it to someone who's like just getting into hip hop, you're like, you gotta check out Doom. They listen to it and they're like, this is shit. But if someone who's like listened to loads and has got kind of, you're almost at the point
to develop over time.
Yeah, or it's like, if you find Doom when you're just about to get bored of a medium, at least on not bored of a medium of doing it, but on like looking at it or experiencing it. You know what I mean? If you're just on the cusp of getting bored of hip hop and then you find Doom, it's like, whoa, there's more. Yeah. There's still room to go. You know what I mean? And that was what Jodorowsky is, but he does, and his stuff is like deeply spiritual and psychological and.
Sounds like my shit.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm fucking saying. But yeah, and it's it's crazy, and he's the only person I know who's made a film that the genre listing is acid western. You know?
Huh?
Yeah, acid western, and it is nuts. You watch and you're like, whoa, like, even if sober. But
it's also genre bending as well. Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
It's awesome stuff. But it is like Doom. It's like not accessible. You kind of have to. But then he says stuff that's like so bold. He said about the acid western one, which is El Topo. A quote he said about it. He's like, El Topo is limited if you're limited. Or and if you're like it was something to the effect. The other half of the quote was like El Topo's deep if you're deep, basically, which sounds like the most
it's so
like
pretentious.
But like,
I get it.
But when you see him and like if I said something like that about my own work, you'd be like, fuck him, go get fucked. But you see him say it and you're like, this is a man that embodies what he does. You know what I mean? He's like so.
He lives and breathes.
Yeah, and he's not bullshitting anything, you know, when it's so genuine and you're just like, yeah, I have to agree. Maybe, like, the first time I watched El Topo, I kind of got bored about halfway through and stopped watching. Because it's a long fucking film, it's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I stopped watching, and then I read a bit more, and like, because I'm looking at him now for my photography project a bit as well. And then I was like, I've got to watch it. I've got to finish it, you know what I mean? So I went back and watched it, and I goes, yeah, I was dumb when I first tried it. You know, I was an idiot the first time round, you know. But yeah, man. Yeah. Who does inspire you? Like you said, music, but do you have any film influences as such?
You probably might not know him, but do you know Satoshi Kon?
No.
He is like a Japanese anime director. When people think of anime, think like anime, like who cares about that shit?
Yeah,
but you have to watch the right.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You have to find the right anime. You have to avoid the bullshit, because anime is such a weird thing because people get. It's one of those things that people like get super into, like in a way that you don't really see in any other art form. Which means
I get what you mean.
And I saw this one thing, I can't remember who fucking said it. It was someone who was talking about why the anime industry is like kind of it's not falling apart, but it's suffering financially and things. That's why animes are being made on the cheap and things like that. And he kind of said the issue was that the people who made the really great anime that kind of started the movement and brought it to the heights it was at in like the 90s and things were drawing from life and things. And he said the people who are making anime now are just not drawing from life, and they're drawing from other animes to make more animes. So that's why, and like you watch anime and you're like, this is that other anime done again with slightly different coloured hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's been so many that I'll like finish one anime and they're like, oh, if you like this one, you should watch this one. Okay, and I'm like, this is just the same thing.
Shit.
What are you on? Like, what? It's like, and I see
that
it.
Sounds like you said that a guy mentioned that, right? Someone mentioned
I
that.
can't
Is that
remember who it was.
Miyazaki?
It might
Is
have
that
been.
Studio Ghibli?
He's Ghibli, isn't he? Yeah.
Is it Ghibli?
I don't know.
I don't think
I'm not sure. There's probably someone screaming
probably
at this.
doing
Like,
right now.
fuck you! I know how it's pronounced.
Well, fuck you too.
But yeah, it might have been. It might have been from him, to be honest. I
That
imagine.
sounds like something
But,
he would say.
Yeah. Then he also, I saw another quote from him where he was like, "My career was a mistake," or something.
I heard.
But I never. It was like a thumbnail for a video.
It was a thumbnail for a video.
Yeah, I never watched it. I didn't click it.
So
the algorithm
I don't want to
synced
like
up for us,
say anything about that because
But
you know
yeah.
them big fucking stupid bitch YouTubers out there like with their thumbnails.
Yeah.
Oh,
Someone just
geez.
made up a quote to annoy people, so they
That
click
is
it.
so-
But, yeah.
it works, but it's just such a dick move.
Yeah. Have you watched a lot of his films?
I've probably seen.
Because I think I've only seen one.
Shit, that's a big difference.
Yeah, you're like, I think I've seen 8, and I'm like, yeah, I've only
seen
seen
8.
one. I think it was Spirited Away. I saw.
I love that. I think that's the most popular one.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
Top 3 most grossing animated films ever, I think.
That's impressive. Even against like Disney and shit. Is that going up against?
I think that's going up against Toy Story and I'll say
Gee.
top 5.
That's crazy.
Because I think there's one anime that beat it. It's called Your Name.
I heard about that. I
it's
never
like,
saw it, but I definitely heard someone saying they were going to go see it at cinemas, and I was like, whoa.
It's a
We're in
really,
England.
really good film. It's like, how can I describe it? It's like they switch, a guy and a girl, they switch bodies, basically
Right.
switching lives, and they have to meet each other to get back to their original body. It's
Right.
it's a pretty sick concept.
Hmm.
It's a good film
I'll have to check it out.
if you love that nice, light-hearted feel.
Yeah, which...
I don't think it's better than Spirited Away, though. That's just
Yeah.
Or Akira. Akira's nice.
Yeah, Akira's the motorbike game,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
dystopian from 1988.
I need to. That's one that I like need to watch because it's like a staple of like the cyberpunk genre, right?
Yeah.
Which is like
That's pretty
what film
fucking
was
sick.
out, but no,
It's
I've
really
not
ahead of
seen
its
it.
time.
Yeah. It came out. It was only a couple years before Ghost in the Shell, wasn't it?
Oh, when did Ghost in the Shell come
I think it was
out?
like Ghost in the Shell was like 90. No, I think Ghost in the Shell was 96. So it's like a decade
Akira,
before. Yeah.
1988.
That's crazy. Cyberpunk's a weird genre
It is.
that anime loves, and cyberpunk's also another thing that like constantly cannibalizes itself, like especially in photography,
Yeah.
right? Because the fucking people are like, it's cyberpunk photography. I'm like, you guys are all doing the exact same thing. Like, you're calling it cyberpunk, but it's just neon food dye put onto your images.
That is not cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's just this weird trend thing. I think photography just lends itself to trends.
Are you talking about them like neon light photography?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen too much of that bullshit.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any neon photographers, but I mean.
Yeah, sorry, Tom. Not to
switch-
mug you off.
Oh, I love you, Tom.
Tom
but-
might listen to this.
Just just keep switching your style up. Man.
Yeah. But Tom does some awesome stuff as well, though. He was showing me some of his stuff that he's like... They're not final pieces, but they're like preliminary... They're almost like sketches. The photography equivalent of...
Prototypes?
No, they're photographs, but they're like, here's the gist. Here's to illustrate what I want to do, but I've not built on it as much as I want to. And
Like
he's
a
doing...
sort of concept draft.
Yeah, sort of thing, but it's still photography in a weird way. But he's like
Yeah.
his words, and he's got some cool ideas. So his third year one as well. I'm like, I'm ready to see that, man.
You guys are like gonna have a show like
Fucking-
because the last
Oh
time,
my
yo,
God.
I was looking forward to that. But sorry, lockdown.
Yeah.
That is
No,
so fucked.
Yeah, it sucks. They never had a physical show.
Next year,
I don't know, because we were meant to have a second year show that's now going to be in October. So next month, apparently, if we can even do that still, you know what I mean?
Because you know the uni.
Exactly. Oh, it's so fuck.
It's the pain in the arse.
Yeah, but I feel bad for those third year
Third
guys
years.
because they got okay. Shout out to Jim the technician because he did put their he put some of their final works on the UOM photography page.
Yeah.
But even still, I'd be like,
It's not the same.
you know, you'd still be disappointed because Instagram is not how you're meant to view images. Like, you're not meant to view things on Instagram, I feel like. It's good to get an idea, but there's definitely, I can, like, from the work that was being posted, I'm like, that kid spent a year thinking about how he was going to display that, and now it's just sat on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the most he's going to, unless he goes and exhibits it externally, which, like, for some of them, hopefully they
How
do.
much does it cost to do that?
I don't know. It depends
Right.
whose dick you suck. I don't know, like, you know what I mean?
I don't know how
It
that
depends
shit
where you
works.
go. You just gotta, like, it's, I guess it's one of those industries where it's like, it's who you know. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta know people, you put
Same
network
with us.
in and
Yeah.
shit, you know what I mean? So it
Pain in
depends.
the arse, man.
Like,
I'm an
I'm-
introvert. I can't be asked to speak to people.
It's, yeah, introversion's a weird one though. Like,
Has its
'cause-
superpowers though, because you properly feel your emotions,
yeah,
and like any other
for better or for
you
worse.
build empathy. Oh, that is true as well.
Yeah,
Glass half
yeah.
full, glass half empty, and also you build empathy. So when you have deep conversations with people, you build more of a healthier,
Yeah.
more stronger relationship with them.
I tend to think introverts tend to have like a couple friends and then they...
Many acquaintances.
Yeah, possibly. But those friends they're like super tight with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's no like in between sort of thing there
Yeah.
tends to be, and it's but introversion's super misinterpreted as well, because some people assume that, oh, you're an introvert, therefore you have social anxiety and you can't talk to people. They do kind of go hand in hand sometimes, but it's like there's a lot of introverts who don't have it. You know what I
beings
mean?
are complicated people as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean you're afraid of people.
Ex-
You know, it just means
exactly.
like so I think my lecturer last year described it as like when we were doing like the identity project, she made us do like the Carl Jung
Carl Jung.
personality test.
Oh shit! You guys know who Carl Jung is?
Yeah, everyone knows Carl Jung,
I
man.
didn't know that. I've been studying that guy for the past 4 months.
For your project.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
subconscious,
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah. Hodorowski
the
did.
shadow, all that
Yeah.
kind of shit.
Hodorowski does stuff on him. Like
Oh,
that's
fuck,
what
so-
that's what the like
really need to watch
Hodorowski
it now.
films are about. Like if you read them through that lens, then it's gonna make so much more sense than just weird shit on a screen, dude. But yeah, that have you ever done that personality test? And it gives you
Which
the 4.
one? There's like
It's
so
it's a
many.
Carl Jung one, and then I think there's another website that calls it 16 personalities, but it's the same
That's the
thing.
Myers-Briggs. 16
Oh, is that the
personality.
Myers-Briggs one?
That's INFJ,
Oh, maybe
INFP.
Yeah, that's the
shit.
one I'm on
I
about.
got
Maybe
INFJ.
what's INFJ?
It's
We're
like-
one letter off of each other, dude.
Yours, I bet yours INFP, maybe.
No, INTJ.
INTJ.
Yeah.
Actually, I can see that. I can see that.
What does that mean? Because when I read the description, the first fucking line of the description on the website for mine is tend to be arrogant, and I was like, thanks.
I don't see that.
I'm like,
It's mainly
oh,
like,
man.
you know how there's examples of people, like people that suit that personality type. So I
Yeah.
think Elon Musk might be an INTJ.
Possibly, yeah, because it gives you that list of celebrities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mine had a lot of supervillains on it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, but it was like a real weird mix. It was like, I think Elon was on there,
I'm trying to think.
Christopher Nolan,
I can see that as well.
I want to say Kubrick was on there, but I'm not sure whether that's because I'm thinking of Christopher Nolan.
Christopher, yeah.
Because Christopher Nolan's just a Kubrick fanboy.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And also Satoshi Kon fanboy as well. You need to watch this film.
I have to check it out.
Because
I'll write it. I'll
a
write
load
it
of
down.
Western filmmakers jack that guy's style. And people don't know who the hell he is. Inception, that
Yeah.
shit is pretty much a live action remake of
Oh, really?
Paprika. In a way. Because of course, like, subconscious, conscious, what's real, what isn't real.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, here's another fun fact for the people. So, Satoshi Kon's film Perfect Blue, in my opinion, the best edited film I've ever seen.
That's a statement.
Because of the way it's so seamless, the way the match cuts and everything. It's so delicious as an editor to watch.
You can't beat a match cut.
It's just so seamless as well, and it's not tacky. It's none of that bullshit.
It doesn't.
Ahead of its time, because you know how stands like K-pop stands and
like stalker fans.
Yeah,
right.
That is like this. He made that film like 1998. What's happening right now? Motherfuckers being like, Stan, all that kind of bullshit.
Yeah. It's a really weird thing because people are like, I
weird.
stan this, but the thing that like K-pop is designed to make that.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't get what kind of crazy psychological trickery in the marketing and the way it's done actually like got them what they wanted, basically, down to a T.
As well,
it's terrifying.
The audience is like, what, 13-year-old girls or some shit?
Yeah, 13-year-old girls and 40-year-old men.
Exactly.
That's the split. But yeah, like, yeah, K-pop's really weird. You know, like the girls they're called like idols. Like that's what they call it. As we have like pop stars, they have idols. Like that's already creepy. But apparently they're not allowed to have relationships.
With
like,
K-pop.
Yeah, like the girls aren't allowed to have like boyfriends.
What about the guys as well? Because I know they're
they're probably not allowed to have like girlfriends.
The fans will go fucking crazy.
Yeah, or I think I imagine some of them probably do, and they probably have to keep it secret. You know what I mean?
They're gonna have to have a very, very private life. That's
to avoid a mass suicide on the part of the real gnarly Sands.
I doubt they can even go out in public with their significant other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because if they do, then it's like, oh shit, who like snap, all that kind of bullshit.
It's kind of scary as well because a lot of them start when they're like they go to like training camps to become idols when they're like 12. Camps? Yeah, it's like it's like you know how like Disney child stars. It's like here's our like acting school that like we just
I didn't know they had
we just I don't know whether it's Disney one, but there's obviously like certain acting schools that pump into Disney and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know it happens in everything because there's certain companies that pick people up from certain universities and stuff that work close and employment, and it's just how it goes. But I'm pretty sure K-pop has like young kids, they go dance academies and they just pick the good ones and they're like, okay, you're gonna make it basically, and it's so manufactured, it's crazy.
The entertainment industry, like the filmmaking industry, is kind of like that as well, because it's just, you know, Harvey Weinstein and all them fucking nonsense as well. If you're listening, by the way, but they're not gonna listen anyway. We're just like so many perverted people, and they're getting defended, and it just
it's so weird how like Hollywood's so powerful as it is. It's like the same amount of power up in that area of like, it's fucking you're making movies, you know what I mean? And you have the same amount of power as like the politicians and the billionaires. What? You know what I mean?
It is very powerful.
And it's like, and then that led into like the Epstein stuff, and it's crazy. And then it was
meme as well.
Yeah, like. Do you know much about that? Have you looked much into it, or are you like?
I've heard about like Epstein Island.
Do you not know about the? Are you saying that like you've heard of it, or you know?
I've seen like apparently there's like a list of names, but then I was like, there was multiple versions of that list, and I was thinking, I don't know which one was the real one.
Yeah, Epstein's Island is crazy. They basically just had an island where like billionaires and celebrities will go and just kind of go buck wild basically, but it like led to horrible shit like because they had kids there and stuff, so it's like real grime. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it just sounds like a crazy conspiracy, and
but it was legit.
Yeah, I mean, fucking it. Basically, for years it was a conspiracy. Fucking do you know Alex Jones? Like, you laugh, but he was talking about it in relation to Epstein for years. He was like, there's an island where
the guy with the
voice, and he's like, and they fuck kids, and you're like, what? That sounds insane. But now it's like, fuck, you know what I mean? And it was. And
I haven't seen his stuff, by the way, so I just seen the memes where it said,
I'll be honest,
I'm kind of retarded.
Yeah, on Joe Rogan.
It's
so funny. He's hilarious. He's a character, but it's kind of it's one of those things where like he said some crazy shit as well, but he's been right too much for me to be comfortable at the same time. Like, he was right about... Basically, he was right about Epstein. He's been saying that before it was a thing. He was right about... Did you hear the one where it's like, turning the frogs gay? And it sounds insane, right?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Right.
I thought it was a meme.
Yeah, well, it was a meme, but it was also... He wasn't wrong. It was like a pesticide that caused... Because frogs... You know in Jurassic Park where they're like, oh, we spliced it with frog DNA. And that's why they ended up breeding, because they could change their gender.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the pesticide was causing the frogs to do. So frogs, it's like a natural thing in frogs. It's like a balancing mechanic. So if they're in an area where it's like, oh, fuck, we went out on our own and we only brought males with us, then some of them will just literally like transform, take under a physiological transformation into females and stuff. Like frogs have this crazy ability to do that, but this pesticide was, for whatever reason, activating in that.
Yeah.
So although it wasn't turning them like gay, it was causing them to like switch gender. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
So he was right. He was fucking right about it. It was crazy shit. And then he snuck into Bohemian Grove as well.
He snuck into Bohemian Grove.
Do you know what Bohemian Grove is? Like
I kind of heard about it.
It was like this. It was like this rumored thing where it would be like bankers and like powerful people and celebrities and politicians.
He snuck in, like.
Yeah, but they'd go and they'd wear like hoods like Druids, and there'd be this big owl statue that they worshipped, and they'd burn like an effigy for the owl.
This is non-fiction, right?
It sounds insane. No, I'm not joking. He and someone else like snuck in there and got footage of it. And it'd been like
Alex Jones snuck in there.
Yeah.
He's thick. Like, how?
Yeah, but he's like in the bushes and he's like, you can find the footage. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's like one of those ones where it's like...
He's thick. Like, how?
It's crazy. It's like crazy shit that he like uncovered. And obviously there was shit he was wrong about as well. And like he was very fucking wrong about like Sandy Hook and shit. And you know, but it just makes you think it's like, fuck man, he's right about these really like crazy shit, like especially the Epstein one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck. And then I think about like a couple of years ago when he got deplatformed. I'm like, I
heard about that.
Yeah, he basically, his YouTube channel just got annihilated, all his social media. Like he still has his website, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's some people who like re-upload his stuff to YouTube and stuff. But yeah, it was like, YouTube has the power just to like delete that voice, just get rid of someone. Like,
they kind of done that for not YouTube, Spotify. I'm not sure how accurate this. I'm not sure if this was Joe Rogan or Spotify, but there's certain episodes where it's just gone.
Yeah, including the Alex Jones episodes aren't on this. I haven't checked through, but people were saying like a lot of episodes, a lot of right-wing leaning episodes.
There's at least a dozen gone.
Yeah, just like disappeared. Like guests like Milo and Gavin and possibly Jordan Peterson's ones have possibly gone, which sounds insane because he's not that right.
Did Jordan Peterson's daughter go on the show?
Yeah, Michaela Peterson. So she has a podcast as well, doesn't she?
I have no idea.
It popped up to me once. She does one as well, and I was like, I think I watched like half an episode, and I was like, oh, okay,
that's cool.
Because there's like, God, there's too many podcasts. What are we doing, man? We should cancel ours. Fuck this. There's too many podcasts. Why are we adding to the problem? You know what I mean?
Stand out, you know.
But yeah, it's a crazy thing. Where I think it's just because like all those companies and stuff do have a bias, and they've justified it through like, oh, we just don't want people getting misinformation. And it's like, why are you deciding what misinformation is?
Is that censorship as well?
It is a little bit, you know. But they claim it's not biased, but it kind of is. There's a lot of people who are saying like, yeah, it is. Like, it is. You know what I mean?
I can't never support that. Like, people should have the right to say whatever, but of course, you know, if you say slurs and whatnot, there'll be consequences and shit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it's one of those things.
Just don't be an arsehole.
Yeah, just don't be a dickhead. Simple as, you know.
It's just a simple mantra, but people can't follow it. I don't understand.
And the internet makes it worse, because if there's someone going on there like saying horrible shit about a group of people, it's not like if they're saying it to you in person, you can't punch them. You know what I mean? So people want to take it out somehow, so they report it, and it gets.
And sometimes why I detoxed from social media for 2 months, man.
How'd you find that? What changed?
I loved it.
Did you like it?
Because what changed was it was gradual. So I'd be like, okay, I'll stop using Reddit. then Twitter. That I couldn't do it all at once.
Right.
But I kept YouTube though because
YouTube's not really. Does it
it's
count
not
as
really.
social
It's not
media?
You're technically socializing in the comments, but but I never comment. It's media, of course, because of video. But I use it for like video essays and studying my craft. And
I think it's a tool. It's like
inspiration.
reading books or
Exactly.
watching TV or something. You know what I mean? I don't tend to picture YouTube as social media.
Pinterest, I don't think that's social media either, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're just looking at shit.
Yeah, it's like a nice little mood, a large mood board.
Yeah.
So I found it really fucking good. It just, I was so happy. Well, I'm happy right now, but it's like I'm away from all that bullshit. You know how people say, "Oh, this person's cancelled, this right's happening," all that kind of stuff. I don't want to worry about things that are way beyond my control. You know, there's people out there who try to act like superheroes these days, thinking, "Oh, okay, you know, if
I'm going to change the world."
I'm going to change
the
society. No, if you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. Okay, and people don't want to do that. That's the thing.
Yeah,
because you could talk all day saying, "Oh, I could do this, I could do that," but what lasts forever is your actions. You know, because you could be like, "Oh, raise awareness for suicide survivors and what was the issue of suicide," but thing is, it's like if your behaviour is like you make fun of the person for being suicidal and depressed, you're just a piece of shit. You're fake online social media superhero.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people posting about causes and stuff, and I'm like,
what have you ever cared about?
You don't even do anything. Like you say, like you know what I mean? The amount of fucking white kids I've seen posting about BLM is like, do you even know anyone who's black? Do you even know anyone of colour at all? Like, what? You're sitting on here talking this, and it's like, you are the whitest person I know. The whitest people I know. There's like a bunch of them. It's like
so many people wants to be virtuous rather than being real, you know, because me personally, I don't like to put this image, I'm a good person. You know, look at me, I'm a great leader, I'm all this and all that. All the greatest leaders in the world have flaws. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. This goes on and on. It's just they have to develop a character over time, you know.
It feels like a weird thing, but it's like interesting you say that. Like when you were like, I don't put myself out there as a good person, but I tend to find a lot of people do like set out like, I'm perfect, I'm great, I'm a good person, and that's like almost like setting yourself up to fail.
Failure,
someone finds that one thing, and then it's like gone. You just drop.
Crashing down.
As if you just be like, I know a minute ago you said don't be an arsehole, but maybe if you just start as a dickhead, you can only go up. You know, it's all uphill from there. It's all, you know, it's like, okay, cool.
Technically a good point.
Yeah, you can't go any down. So no matter what anyone says, it's not as simple as that. Honestly, don't fucking live your life by that. That's terrible advice.
Don't be an arsehole, by the way. Just to clarify, just to go up.
Yeah, fuck. It's it's interesting. You did, so that detox was during the quarantine as well.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
because I had no reason to go on social media. No clients can hit me up saying I want a video done.
Yeah, so anything people send you is probably bullshit.
It's very true. Or
probably
like,
nonsense
if you wanna,
most of the time.
I do like read messages and whatnot. So if you said how's it going, I'd be like, I'm doing good. How are you? But I wouldn't like be like, oh, you want to do a shoot because we clearly can't do a shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you did that because a couple of weeks ago now, me and my family went to the Lake District, and because we know my parents know someone who has like a cottage, and they were like, "Oh, it's free. Do you want to come up?" So we're like, "Yeah, sure." It gets us because obviously all the holidays got cancelled and stuff. So we're like, "Yeah, we'll go, fine." And I just fucking left my phone at home, which I've been wanting to do on a holiday for a while, but I had. Last holiday I tried to do it. My girlfriend at the time was like, "No, you can't leave it. What if something happens, or you need it for emergencies?" I'm like, "What's gonna happen?" But still, you know what I mean. So I had it there, but I didn't use it that much. I can see the point sometimes.
Percentage.
And it's like, worst comes to worst, I just shout to someone else. It's not like we're gonna be isolated in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna be with someone who probably has a phone, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this time it was like 3 days. I just didn't bring a phone, and it was like. Crazy experience. Time like slowed down almost. Like
I get what you mean.
It was the weird thing where you didn't find yourself like you check your phone once and it's 11, and then you check it again. You're like, oh, it's 4 in the afternoon. What the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? You're just like super there, hanging out and stuff, like taking it in. It was like
it's great.
Yeah, it should be the default. That should
be the normal.
Yeah, but it's not, and it's like
It's like one thing I noticed is I'm not sure if this happens to you, but. Say if like you're with a friend and then there's someone like their friend's friend, you don't know who they are, if that friend leaves to probably like, I don't know, get a drink, and it's just you two, what happens? Go on their phone.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm right here. Let me talk to you.
Yeah, I have like. I've brought the phone back now because obviously it's like I can't just like messages and things like that, and there's still like shit to do, some sort of, like interest stuff, reading or whatever.
Yeah.
But I have noticed like sometimes I'll be like with my family watching TV, and I'll look around and be like, "Oh, you guys aren't watching this. You're all looking on your phone." I was like, "Are we watching something or like, you know what I mean?" I hate to sound like an old man about it, but it does feel that way sometimes. Like especially if you like when I'm watching TV, I'm an asshole and I like to crack jokes about things, like about what's going on. Yeah, like normally when you're watching TV with your family, it's like shit TV. If it's something good, then I'm like, okay, I appreciate it. Like we can get invested in a movie or something. But if it's like some like fucking snacks and wraps, looking at how crisps are made or whatever the fuck, I'm like, I want to fucking make jokes, and then I'm like, I can't because you're on your phone. You're not. Like, I'm going to say something that doesn't make sense, and you're going to look at me like, shut up, I'm trying to watch Facebook videos right now. You know what I mean?
Phones are really the modern day addiction. You know how people say, like, nicotine was like the 2000s,
well,
2010s and 2020s, so the digital nicotine for us.
It is an addiction. There's a dopamine. Is a big one.
Dopamine
I think Alex Potton, one of the 3 Alexes I've had on, he said he believes
Shout out the Alexes.
Yeah. He's like, we're addicted to dopamine, but it's not as simple as that. Dopamine is another thing that kind of gets misrepresented, and I thought about it wrong as well, because people treat it as like just you do something good and then you get a release, but it's not as simple as that. It's like it sets up a pathway when you think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So it's deliberately vague, and that's why humans are good at getting invested in different things. So it's like one person could be like, "Oh, I want to get good at taking photos," or "I want to get good at darts," and they're not the same thing. So it's vague. So you can, when you do something good in that thing, you get that rush still, even though it's not necessarily like the rigid set thing. And it's that dopamine pathway of phones is super like likes and comments and those sort of things, or even just seeing something funny, like seeing a funny video or something, you get addicted to that, and it builds that pathway. So that's why it's hard. Yeah, TikTok's super fucking addictive. I can't
stand that out, man. Sorry, that shit is just.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I've deleted it now because now I'm like, oh, that shit's spying on you. That's my real concern. That was the draw. It wasn't the amount of times I've sat up till 4 a.m. and been like, I've been scrolling for hours, and then I turn it off, go to sleep, wake up this morning and be like, I feel like shit, and it's TikTok's fault. That's not what made me delete the app. What made me delete the app was that I was getting spied on. But then again, I'm thinking like, I'm recording my voice now. Am I really concerned about being spied on when I'm putting this out? But
because TikTok is, I know Facebook and Instagram's owned by Facebook, but Facebook, Twitter, they obviously take our information, but TikTok, it's like it goes way beyond. Because I heard like some phones, I'm not sure about like iPhones and whatnot, but some phones that already have TikTok installed. Pre-installed. Yeah, because I think it's made the older phones because this is Reddit, so I'm not sure how legit my sources. So this guy's granddad, he got a new phone, and then the guy checked his phone. It's like TikTok is already there, and my granddad's like, obviously, what the hell is this? I was like,
was it a second-hand phone or what?
I don't know.
That's a little bit creepy.
But it would be like, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's mainly the older versions of phones rather than like a modern day iPhone and whatnot, because
I've never heard of that. That sounds.
I don't think.
Is there a conspiracy?
Yeah. Just to clarify, I'm not pushing this as a full-on fact, but it's just something that I read upon and like I'm not surprised about.
Yeah, it's a sketchy app. It's like the amount of permissions it has,
and also the target audience as well, who mainly goes on TikTok. Kids.
Kids. And then
it's
caught. Yeah, it's caught a very wide net though, because it's kids, teenagers, young adults.
Yeah.
But do you know why TikTok's successful with a range of audiences? Because its For You page is so much better. Its algorithm is so much more responsive than like Instagram or Facebook. Because for whatever reason, it's like you can train your TikTok. When you first get TikTok, it's like dances and the most popular shit. But if you don't like that, it only takes like 20 minutes, and now it's like, I'm seeing what I want to see all the time. It's like, just funny videos, like people making like little comedy bits or just chaotic videos or whatever you want to see.
That's what Vine was missing.
Yeah, just
I actually liked Vine.
Yeah, just that
but
AI.
I was 14 to be fair. So
I kind of missed Vine. I never really. I don't think I ever had it. I think I had it and then it disappeared.
I only saw on YouTube because I didn't.
Yeah, Vine compilations. That's when I had to educate myself, because then I was like, oh, that's why someone said something and everyone laughed, and even though it wasn't a joke.
Oh yeah, I get what
you know, sometimes you just feel like you're out of the loop completely. You're like,
that's another thing as well. Social media detox you out of the loop. But then again, do you need to be in the loop where you're not?
Yeah, you realise the loop's bullshit, and you realise you've tricked yourself with the loop a little bit, because sometimes it's like, do you know what my main concern when I was like, I'm leaving my phone at home just to see what happens for this weekend. My main concern was like, I'm gonna come back to like a million messages or something, or someone's gonna have something happened. Then I got back and I opened my phone, radio silence, and I was like, oh, I'm just a conceited little bitch who thinks people give a shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, man,
you know what I mean? You just like, it was just that. Lost my train of thought. Where was I going? What were we on about?
You're talking about 3 days away from your phone.
Yeah, like
you're
falling out.
Messages,
like you
you
just fall out the loop, and you're like, oh, the loop's not real, or bullshit. Any part of it is real. It's like, you don't need it. I was still existing. You know what I mean? It's like, it didn't. Not knowing about, like, I'm trying to think what news I missed. I may have
3 days.
Yeah, there's got to be something, but it wasn't like important. It may have been the Ellen story.
What, her being
a shit boss.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only thing, but that didn't affect my opinion on the fucking mountains in the Lake District. You know what I mean? It was.
You don't even watch Ellen, I don't think. So.
No. I don't know anyone who watches fucking Ellen. I think it was just one of those things where it was like, for the longest time, everyone's been like, everyone loves Ellen. Like, and most people don't have an opinion to really care, so you're like, fine, I get... She's just one of those people you have to like, fine, whatever, I don't give a shit. And now everyone's like, I was right. I knew. Like, people are just like, I knew something was wrong with her from the damn.
Mopping her hands and shit.
It's like, you see that every time though that someone gets outed though, like
every time.
Like the first big one in our lifetime of someone just falling from grace, Jimmy Savile. When that happened, the first thing out my dad's mouth was like, I always knew he was a weirdo. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, to be like, looking in hindsight, yeah, he does look like a fucking creep, and everything he did was insane, and loads of people alluded to it, but you didn't know. No, you're not some genius who sat there like, I know something's up here, and like, everyone else has the wall pulled over their eyes, but I see through the bullshit. I know what's going on. It's like, no, you didn't.
Shit,
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I think a lot of people just didn't like how nice she was on the show. I think people could just see the fakeness, I guess. And
that's what I mean by people being too virtuous and trying to portray themselves as a good person.
She's like dancing and shit, and everyone's like, oh, yay, we love it. You know what I mean? And you just want to be like, fuck off, she ain't shit. Yeah, it's like cults of personality. Like, there's just some personalities that are just so praised for how nice they are, and you think, I don't know.
I just don't see it.
Don't know about them, you know what I mean? And it's definitely, you can feel it's fake. Who do you think's next? Who do you think gets cancelled next?
That's a good
it's not a question of if someone gets cancelled next. Someone's going to get cancelled next. Who do you think it's going to be? I'm trying to think.
There's a load of people out there.
I'm surprised Tarantino hasn't been.
That is very true, you know.
I think he's too easy of a target. You know,
too easy.
It's like, even if you like, what are you going to cancel him for? It's like, he's a weirdo, like, he does coke and likes looking at feet, and everyone just goes, yeah, we know, it's not a secret. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think, like,
at least he's real about it, you know.
Yeah, he just owns it, and he made it like stylistic, you know. I'm trying to think, like, someone's going to fall next. And it'll be someone, I don't know, it won't be someone horrible.
I think it's someone like Kevin Hart level, I'll probably say.
Kevin Hart?
He would have got cancelled before.
Yeah, he already did for the...
Say like tweets. Someone around his level. But I don't know.
Dr. Phil.
You think so? I don't really know much about that.
I don't know. Dr. Phil was on Joe Rogan though, so he's got to be legit.
What's his name? Jimmy. Is it Kimmel?
Ooh.
He got cancelled as well.
Did he get cancelled?
Because of blackface in the 90s.
In the 90s? That was normal then. That's an average day out for Jimmy Kimmel in the 90s.
How did they find it now though? Like, why not before?
They went to his mum and they asked for the family photo album. They went through and they were like, "We've got it." They were like, "Thanks, Mrs. Kimmel. We're just gonna need to borrow this. We'll make some nice scans of it for you, high res versions that we can put out."
I don't get it. Have people always been like this, where people are like waiting for someone to fuck up?
I think it's that thing where like, Elon Musk opened me to the idea of the phone being like part of humans now.
Yeah.
Like it's not a matter of like you have a phone. It's like you and your phone are part of like a almost symbiotic thing.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of going into my third year projects a little bit, but I was looking into locusts. Did you know that locusts are grasshoppers? They aren't separate species. Yeah. Grasshoppers have basically, when grasshoppers get like a almost like this big dopamine rush under certain environmental factors, and then they turn into locusts. Like they transform into locusts and behave differently, and they swarm and shit. And I think from phones, and it just it's like we've always known, like for ages, it's like people act differently when they're anonymous online behind the keyboard and stuff. Yeah. And I think that with the phones have amplified that, and the blurring between like, is the stuff on Instagram real, or is it a highlight reel, or is it completely falsified for some people, and people, you can't tell. And it just makes people act in this weird way and want to be part of this group online, and then you kind of get that swarming behaviour where it's like, look at what this person did 20 years ago, fuck them, and then everyone's like, I agree, because I'm a good person, and then they just go and take them down, you know what I mean?
One mentality.
Yeah, it's and I think it's just wanting to just take people out of power. I think there's a lot of people who don't have anything, you know, and they're just like, why does this guy get to sit at his desk and interview celebrities when I have to fucking, you know, do my boring job or whatever, you know what I mean? And they feel like, rip them down, you know what I mean? It's just dissatisfaction and loneliness and depression is just rampant today. And social media has blown it, like in teenage girls especially. Yeah. Like teenage girls, like, depression has shot up with the rise of social media, like, and it's like, it's doing something to our brains that we don't fully consider when we just make an Instagram account when we're 12 years old, or we go online. We just go online, we just do it. We just think like, oh, I'm bored, it will fill the time, you know?
Exactly.
You don't think about it properly, but it is like warping, it's changing those dopamine pathways, and it has other effects on the brain and things, and that's why we see this behaviour that wasn't really always a thing, you know what I mean? This this like listen and believe is kind of comes into it and stuff, and we're seeing people behave in different ways because they're almost I'm gonna say they're like, it's something else. It's like, maybe it's just the direction people are going, humans are going, you know. But it's definitely like having a phone and things like that. It's like we said when we, like, you took a detox, I fucking left my phone at home. It's like you feel totally different. Your perception of things is different. Things seem fucking real. You know what I mean? If you stare at your phone for ages and then you look up and you're in a room, you don't think you can interact with stuff in the room. Do you ever get that? And it's like this weird thing where it's like, if I sat on my phone and then put it away now, I'd be like, you don't think about picking up those darts and like throwing off you for whatever reason. But when you've not been on your phone, it's like, well, obviously I can interact with them. They're physical objects, and you're
trying to process.
Yeah, it's like a different,
because your screen isn't the digital world isn't real. Yeah,
it's just images and, you know, stories and make believe. It's all. It's not.
It's not real.
It's just not real. It's a weird. It's a weird thing, but it's part. It's one of those things that for creatives we almost can't ignore it. Like there's people
stuff out there.
Yeah, there's people I know who do like quote unquote normal jobs and shit who can just not have social media. And they like,
still have it.
Why would I? Some people do, but I know a few people who just don't, like, at all.
I respect that a lot.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's cool. Are you a real person? But still, you know what I mean? Like,
with people that have social media, especially our age, I'm just like, excuse me? That's like,
yeah.
But I'm impressed if they say
it's precious. But I feel like I'd love to get rid of it, but also I'm like, it's too much
people,
opportunity.
yeah,
I'm closing down. If I close, like, I don't have. Most of them I don't have. I don't have Twitter. I don't have.
Good.
I
Keep it
don't.
away.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've dipped my toe in and went, no, not doing it. They're not worth it. Fuck that. But
what a shithole. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I have a Facebook account from when I was a kid, but even though I didn't use it, I got the other day. My friend, shout out Lawrence Warren if he's listening. He's probably not. He doesn't give a fuck. He'll be like, you stop wasting your time in your garage, you fucking idiot. But yeah, I got a notification the other day, and it was like, you and Lawrence are sharing 6 weeks, not 6 weeks, that's not
6
a lot.
years.
6 years of
Yeah.
friendship on Facebook, because we've been friends since we're like 10, 11 when we met each other.
That's cool.
And yeah, and I was like, and then Facebook's like, look on here, and we've like collected everything
Like
that
a slideshow video,
your
yeah.
interactions, like on your walls and feeds and stuff. And there was one birthday message from when I was like maybe 13. And it was like just one birthday message of him being like, happy birthday, and me being like, thanks, man. That was it. 6 years. Like in Facebook's eyes, that's our friendship. But in like real life, with like, you know, there's loads of shit going on. You know what I mean? But it was just like funny. It was like 6 years of one thing. Oh my god. It's like,
So
like,
social media isn't reality. That just proves it right there.
Oh god. And it's yeah, Facebook I really don't use for anything.
I hate Facebook.
I still have it because I'm like, what if I get a
Yeah.
Facebook message? But then I'm like, I'm not going to get a Facebook message. Like, when was the last time you saw a chat head pop up? Do you remember when chat heads became a thing?
I remember that, yeah.
And people flipped out because they were like, that's an invasion of privacy. And I was like, wait for TikTok, boys. Just wait for TikTok to come along, and then you'll understand.
It's only going to get worse from there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, the only thing for Facebook is like you say, university and events. Because people still use... yeah, if someone made a group chat on Instagram for an event, I'd call them a psycho. Like, I'd be like, what are you doing? So you've got 30 people in here to invite to your house party and a fucking Instagram feed. No, you're not doing it like that. Go on Facebook and do it like everyone else. But yeah, that's the only thing. But I'd, yeah, probably after uni, I could probably just get rid of that one as well. But Instagram, it's like, you know, that's photography. That's how I promote this. That's what I do stuff through. So it's like I've kind of locked myself into it, and it's like perfect for photography and stuff, and like clients getting in contact with you and
That's
stuff.
so
like,
essential as well.
Like, yeah,
You have to build your reputation, and it's just so long.
It's, but it is also a good way of keeping track as well. I got a great piece of advice I had from a photographer was use it as a diary of your work.
Yeah.
Like, because you can go back and I can look at photographs from like 6 years ago and be like, oh, I did improve. And it's like, it's not like having them all sorted on my laptop or on the cloud or whatever, because you like don't go into most of the folders anymore. But Instagram, you could just like one gesture, you scroll down and then you can see old work and you see
yourself
evolution of your work, you know. So I like that aspect of it. It's just the people. Yeah,
is that your favourite social media app?
Instagram? Yeah. I think so. It's probably my most used one. But we're visual people. You're a filmmaker. I'm a photographer. It's like built for us. You know, in a weird way.
Sexy for the audience. You know.
Yeah. I saw you in the. What was the clothes? Evere. Yeah. Their clothes. God, what's all that about?
What the fuck was that? Was
that your phone?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was like someone's voice. I was like, who's hiding back there? I was like, fuck.
Bruh. It's crazy how we talk about TikTok and spyware. That shit just went off. But Avere clothing. That shit just creeped me out now. But Avere clothing is my friend starting a clothing brand.
Nice.
And then, well, he's always wanted to do it for some time, and he just finally pulled the trigger because he finally got people to make his stuff. Like a whole team.
Rad.
And I was like, well, he just said to me, make some shit, like do your Renaissance thing. And I was like, you know what?
That's super cool. Like, it's always cool when you do you get invited to a job and you're allowed to do your thing. You know what I mean? And it fits perfectly. Like,
plus you go back as well. And
it's even better when it works. Like when it works perfectly, because it's like if you're doing it in your own style and super how you want to do it, you run the risk of them turning around and going, "That's not what we wanted." Have you ever done jobs where you do it in how you think a professional job should be done? When you do it early, like when I started doing jobs, I was like if I shot something because I wanted to shoot, I got my film stuff, or I'd do it how I wanted to do it. But when it came to like being invited to do something, it'd be like, out comes the digital camera and me editing it in that way people expect, which like wasn't how I wanted to do it particularly. You know what I mean?
Suit the client's needs.
Yeah. Or it wasn't even that. It was just like assuming how it should be done, even if I knew I could do it better if I did it how I wanted to.
Basically.
Yeah, that sort of the unwritten way it's how it's done. You know what I mean? But like, do you remember the first time you just said like, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it my way and just see how it goes"? And took the plunge as such.
I don't think I ever did that for. Actually, I do have a story.
Go for it.
So this is like, okay, fuck you, I'm gonna do it my way. Because I'll give you a little story. So say 3 to 5 minute corporate video. It's like a diaspora. Oh shit! I probably might not. Fuck it. Who cares? It's like a screen media type network. Okay. So it's like to talk about race, inequality, representation, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's like senior lecturers.
Okay.
So it's in our uni. If anyone's in our uni, shh, please. I don't want to fuck up my money. So senior lecturers, it's mainly someone from BCU, Birmingham City University.
Right. Okay.
Cool guy. There's also 2 other senior lecturers who are in charge of the project. 2 that go to our university. One's media lecturer, but the other one, I don't know what she does. So but she's the one that was really mean to me. So the other 2, the 2 guys, are really nice. They're really cool, super responsive, very supportive. You know, they compliment me a lot, all that kind of shit.
Right.
The woman, she didn't really, in real life, she was very like sweet and gentle with a nice voice to like try and get me to make sure, can you do it for free, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, no. But she was very sweet and all kinds of stuff in real life, but she was very patronising. She put like capital letters, exclamation mark, exclamation, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, she was very angry for email.
Right.
So it got to filming, and like they agreed. I said, I'm not editing this, okay, because I'm not dealing with your bullshit.
Right.
The filming will cost, how much was it? I think 200 for like 3 hours of filming. But I had another person helping me out, so we split the cost.
Split it, yeah.
So I told him, okay, here's the footage. I'm not editing this. Like, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
But the 2 guys were like, no, please, can you do it for us? Obviously, we'll pay you extra. The lady,
thing, it's a different skill. It's like a second thing. People
skill.
treat it's like anything. It's like in photography as well. Like editing, it's like, no, that's another part of my life. That's more time than. You know what I mean?
Just as hard as well.
Yeah, it's sometimes harder.
Video editing as well, because you have to have sound, music.
God.
Oh yeah, I got to the email, and the 2 guys were like, "Okay, please edit this for us. What's your budget? All that kind of shit." And I gave them 2 options. I could make a 1 minute montage that could be around, I think, £75, or I could do like a full on 3 to 5 minute video with subtitles, all that kind of shit. For 300, and the woman was like, no, we're not doing that, and she was so against it.
Right.
But the 2 guys were like, no, we're doing this. We're paying the guy. So that's like my
that's awesome.
Fuck you type of thing. Yeah. But I did it in a very civil way. So I was like, okay, take it or leave it. I'm not being disrespected. You're paying me big bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if they were nice to me, I would have done it for 150. Like, I would have done it for dirt.
They're gonna hear this, man. They're gonna be like, fuck. Should have been nice to him.
I was going to like say some I was like, maybe not. But yeah, shout out to that lady, you know, for being an absolute prick.
Giving you a reason to bump up your price.
So if you're perhaps interested in my services, please be nice, otherwise I'll double the price for you being a bitch. And at the end of the day, I won.
Yeah, true.
Won.
You won. That's sick. You always want to win. It always feels good to win.
Always W's. By the short term, I may be losing, but the long term, these motherfuckers, they don't win against me.
I had a. It was actually quite recently for me that I had a. it was for the Hometown Projects guy,
Yeah.
and they did that event, and I just was like, because I was going to go to it anyway, and then
Yeah.
it came through the uni, because I think you got the email as well, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went just because I was like, you know, I like these guys, whatever, and it's like, yeah, I was like, even when I messaged them, I was like, you know, I'm a photographer, I'll shoot some shots when I was there. Like, I set the bar, like, low. I don't think they were expecting anything from me, really. Because there was other people who were, like, keen, wanting to do it and be on time and stuff, because Alex Macarelli came with me, and he was like, as soon as he walked through the door, he was like, I was like, calm down, man. God, there's no one here yet. But yeah, I just sort of, and I just had my like my film cameras, like with the flash or whatever, and in black and white film, just went for it how I wanted to go for it, and I was only shooting like if I thought something was worth shooting, not just because they wanted photos from me, and it's like such a liberating thing to happen, because those images worked out because they fucking loved them. As like Alex said, they were like, he was like stoked on them. They're on the Hometown Projects website now on their events page. I was like, yes. But yeah, and they like, I was super stoked with them, and everyone like, the people in them liked them as well. For the people like who got in contact with me when they saw them and stuff, and I was like, yes. It was like that liberating feeling of being like, I know what I'm doing enough to be able to like make a judgment call about how things should be done. You know what I mean? I don't have to just, because if I had took my digital and done it how I thought it would, it just would have been average, boring, you know what I mean? So I'm like, that moment for me was like just mindset changing. I was like, wait, like, but it seemed like, thinking back, I was like, no, because when even before that, like, people were coming to me like, look at my portfolio, like I did something for the uni. They looked at my portfolio and it was all like, they were like, yeah, we fucking super love that, and it was like medium format images. But then for the actual job, I ended up using digital because I was like, that's what they expect. But I probably should have just been like to the guy, like, look, I do it this way. Let's do it, you know what I mean?
Just take charge.
Yeah, and just being like, it'll work out way better.
Expertise.
And I didn't, and it fucking, to be honest, it kind of ended up kind of shit. And it was like, but now I'm like, God, it's like sick. I'm doing it my way. It's like, but yeah, it's crazy. But fuck, man. What are we going to talk about next? I'm hearing this rain.
What, is that raining?
Yeah. It's
do we have to go to Gary after?
Yeah, man.
In this rain? Oh, shit.
Dude, we can do it. When's the last time... You might never get to walk in the rain again, dude. Enjoy it.
Do you want to take a taxi?
We can do it. If you...
I'll take a taxi.
We can get one if you want.
Because I got to go to another move tonight as well.
Oh my God, you're jumping around. Going to...
Social energy, just going to die. Oh, fuck's sake.
Gary should be good though. It's they're the gallery Baldy's back, so they're doing their art stuff. There was one a couple of weeks ago, Sarah Martin's one, which was awesome. This one, I think his name's Henry Pritchard, I think his name is. It looks kind of cool. I had a quick look, but I didn't want to like spoil it for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to experience it. It's going to be a good time. I'm just stoked there's shit fucking happening again. You know what I mean? There's still social distancing rules and stuff, but it's like...
Do they sell food?
Yeah, man. They're doing food, drinks, everything.
You already know me. My appetite. I would just be selling Alex's burger like, you know, I'm not going to finish.
Yeah, it's just super sick. I'm going like, I've been waiting for so long and people are finally doing stuff. We still haven't got music gigs back yet, but
I'll be
that's
while.
coming. Yeah, I'm so stoked for it, because like, and like all the guys who like I know who were like just before this happened, there was so many gigs going on, so much stuff booked in that got cancelled, like some people's like debut gigs as well and stuff, and just didn't happen. It's like fucking, I've had to wait another 6 months, but a lot of them have used the lockdown really well and grown more. So when that debut does happen,
it'll be even better.
It's going to be even better, and it was already like hyped up event. So yeah, it's going to be so sick when shit starts happening again. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm waiting to have some musicians on here next couple of weeks. Got some good ones coming through. It's going to be good.
If those musicians need a music video, can you please let me know? I haven't ever shot a music video before. It's been bothering me.
Have you like, I don't know, what makes you want to shoot music videos? I mean, you're just like into music, like. Yeah,
you know what the fun thing is, like. So you know, I say, oh, you're a film student, da da da.
Yeah.
I actually consume more music, books, and all that kind of stuff more than films, which is kind of weird to say.
You think that though, but then I think about like my influences on like photography and stuff, and there's a lot of people who are like aren't photographers. There's like filmmakers, artists, like skateboarders.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like a super weird mix.
It makes you
like,
more unique as well. It's like because
Yeah,
you don't
'cause
want to
you're pulling
replicate
from-
what's on the screen to your shit.
Yeah, you don't want to be the type of person who's copying shit. Cause it's like it's kind of, I think it's something you have to do at the start because you're still like figuring it out. You know what I mean? And it like
But over time you gotta.
Yeah, you want to keep pushing it. I think with like for like in the uni thing, it's like you're doing projects and you want each project to be better than the last one. You know what I mean? And
definitely.
You just want to keep getting better. I think that's the
goal.
That's the goal. It's not even about like some points. It's sometimes like you can get to the point where you're like it's not even about the photos. It's about just improving. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like for training mode almost, and you're shooting just to be like, well, can I do this? Can I get away with this? Can I, you know, how does this idea translate into images and stuff like that? And it's real. It's a strange practice in photography to make images that you're not planning on being final images. It's like really weird because they're still photographs, but they're not like the ones. You know what I mean? They're like kind of. You're probably never going to release them. Probably delete them even. You know, but photography's a weird world. So I can imagine videography is as well, and
very, very weird. I don't want to get into that.
maybe even weirder.
Because it's just you have to deal with more people as well, like marketers, composers, produce. Oh my goodness! Yeah. And then of course there's some people like films. I'm sorry, but film students sometimes they get a bit too big-headed. Like they never made anything in their life, like nothing in the portfolio. Like I'll become like Kubrick. I'm like, you haven't made anything. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kubrick, what do you think about Kubrick? Is Kubrick?
I think he's probably one of my biggest film influences because he's such a perfectionist, like to the like dangerous perfection.
To the point of insanity in his like from like
what do you call it?
From Shining onwards, it's
went a little
intense.
bit too far.
Yeah, I'm reading his biography at the moment, like and it gets to that bit and you're like, oh. He's crazy. Yeah. He's going mad. Like as like every time paint turns, him going mad. And fuck, the movies are so good though.
They are.
Makes you question it sometimes. You're like, is it worth it?
They still hold up very well to this day.
Yeah, even the older ones, man. Like Strangelove's a fucking great movie. I watched that the other day. It's on Sky Movies. I was like,
have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
I haven't. I honestly haven't. Though that one, there's a few I haven't seen. I haven't seen Lolita. I haven't seen Full Metal Jacket. I've only seen half of Eyes Wide Shut.
Space Odyssey?
I've seen that movie so many times, dude.
Yeah.
I have it on DVD. Space Odyssey might actually be one of my favourite of all time.
Really?
Like, so good.
Top 5?
Yeah, easily. Yeah. Top 2. Fuck.
Top 2.
I might be first.
1 or 2?
It might be. Honestly, it might be first.
What would like be the competitor for that? Like for you?
That's a hard one. I don't know. Do you ever have that thing in films where you're like 2001's amazing, but you have to give it like 6 months in between watches. Like, you know what I mean? It's not
revisit it fresh.
Yeah,
you know?
There's some movies I could watch and then pretty easily just put on again, like immediately and watch again. You know what I mean? Fuck, like, like Holy Mountain's up there.
I need to watch that. I need to give it another chance.
It's so good. It's so good when you experience it. Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched like half of it and I was like,
the ending is the ending's amazing, dude. But the new Tarantino one.
What's Prime Time in Hollywood?
I thought that was fantastic.
Really?
What did you think of that?
Because like, okay, like I just thought it was so long. I watched it in cinemas as well.
Yeah, I watched it in cinemas. I do remember thinking about maybe an hour in being like, come on.
I know,
but then I just kind of did this thing where you just accept that you're there. So like sometimes you're like, well, I can't just, because if I was watching at home and when I watched it with my parents, my dad checked his phone loads and stuff.
That's how you can tell when someone's not interested.
Yeah, but my dad has a weird taste in films where he'll be like, "This film's amazing," and it'll end up being like the worst film I've ever seen. And then you'll show him something that you're like, "This is awesome," and he'll be like, "Oh shit." But yeah, when you're in a cinema, you can't like check your phone. So I'm just kind of like, let's just get involved, you know, just take it as an experience, you know. And I
just
the end though.
The end is incredible. That was the best bit.
Yeah, I think it was the best bit. But for me, I couldn't just put on the end on its own.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to have that 2 hour build up, and then it's just like those last 20 minutes, like the best action. Fucking, I can't think of anything that gave me that full on like adrenaline before or since.
Is that your favorite Tarantino film?
It's definitely yeah, possibly. Fuck, man.
Shit.
Yeah, possibly. Like I like ooh, I'm gonna be the most controversial I can be right now.
I'm thinking, oh no, right. Is it like your least favorite?
No. I'm gonna say
oh no.
Top 2. Can't decide which one's which. Top 2 Tarantinos.
Okay.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
Death Proof.
I haven't seen. Apparently, that's the worst one.
Yeah, because people are wrong. No, Death Proof, because Tarantino is a genre filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
He takes a genre, like just consumes the genre, and then like remixes it into like the best of it.
Yeah.
And Death Proof is like grindhouse cinema is shit most of the time, right? Like you watch old ones and they're just pure thrills, you know what I mean? But Tarantino took it and he made it into something that's like good. You know, it's like what you want all grindhouse theatre, like it's like a romanticization of grindhouse, and it's what you want them to be, but they're not quite. But his one is, and I'm like, yes, it's amazing. It's the perfect film to like, you kind of, you know, get some friends around, you can talk over it, doesn't really matter, and then just action in it. You know what I mean? Like one of the best car chases as well ever. Like just sick as fuck, like great.
That's
fun.
Your top 2. That's nuts.
Yeah, just to really annoy people sitting there.
Do you like Kill Bill?
Yeah, I love Kill Bill.
Oh, thank
Kill Bill's
God.
great. I was actually not gonna lie, right? Like I like Kill Bill. I do like Kill Bill, but I watched Kill Bill after going on a kung fu movie like rampage.
Yeah.
And I got to Kill Bill, and the Jackie Chan in me said, "He's cutting too much.
Yeah.
he's getting too close, and he's cutting the action." I'm going, Uma Thurman can't really fight. She's no kung fu hero like Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, you know. Like, but they're fun. They're fun films. They're great, and you know, the 2-part thing is a cool thing to have in his like his 10 films. What do you think his 10th film's gonna be? Because he said he was only gonna make 10.
Apparently, there's a Star Trek one he was doing.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Actually.
Is that?
I don't know.
Real?
But people have been saying that since before, like Inglourious Basterds, haven't they? They've been saying it for ages.
Christopher Nolan was going to make an Akira trilogy and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, people just make shit up.
I would love to see that though. No, if you're listening, by the way, just make Akira live action.
Only on the fucking off chance.
You never know.
Yeah, it's. What about you?
My favorite Tarantino film.
Yeah,
that's Kill Bill.
Kill Bill
1. Volume 1. Yeah.
What about okay? Top 3.
Oh, top 3.
Top 3. Come on.
Okay. Kill Bill was at number 1 spot. Volume 1.
Okay.
Number 2.
What do you think about Kill Bill Volume 2?
Oh, I liked it.
Not top 3.
Pulp Fiction's up there for sure.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction's great.
It's a bit of a generic pick, but
it's like the obvious one because it was like, you know,
it's just a nice film, like to watch.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Fuck. Third. Do I want to say Kill Bill?
If you want to say Kill, I'll give you Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, as one film, and then the other 2. Not sure if that helps you or makes it worse, because then you have to still have to fill 2 slots.
I like Django, but I didn't like it that much.
I haven't seen Django. Couldn't be honest.
I haven't seen Inglourious Basterds, to be fair.
I've seen Inglourious, but I think I need to watch it again to fully.
It's a pretty long film.
Take it in. I feel like I like half watched it. You know what I mean? Like I sat there, I was looking at the screen, but I didn't really pay attention properly. But other ones, it's like Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs. Does From Dusk Till Dawn count?
don't know. That's
because he wrote it and was in it, but I don't think he was directing it.
I don't
So
think
it's
that
like,
does count. Yeah.
Does it count? Although I do still fucking love it. That film's great fun. But ooh, what other ones are there? Fuck, forgetting. I feel like I should know. There's one we're forgetting about.
I feel like there is.
There's one we've completely forgotten
and it might
about.
be the obvious thing as well.
Yeah, people are going, how can you forget about that one? It's the best one.
So what came before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Django?
No, Hateful Eight.
I haven't seen that.
Hateful Eight is good.
It's good.
There's a reason we probably just forgot about it. Yeah. But yeah. What about films in general? If we're gonna go
Top 3?
Yeah. Because you made me say
Fuck.
2001.
Perfect Blue's up there for sure.
I need to watch that. I'll have
I think
to watch
that was
it.
from 1998. But Wikipedia says something different. It says, 1997. And someone else says 1998, so I'm not sure when.
Was it like a staggered international release or something?
Probably. Maybe
like,
US was
yeah,
1998.
Because that happens a lot. Like, it comes out in Japan first, and then the US pick it up if they think we'll like it. You know what I mean? And then it comes to everyone else.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's so many films.
There's too many. And I feel like there's something in the back of your mind.
Yeah, you're like, there's that
It's
one
just such an
film that you'll
obvious
never
pick.
remember.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's... Do you ever get worried about, like, when you super invest in things like film, and you realise, even if I sat and watched films, like, morning and night, I'd still, like, miss some essential watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like people get it with books where, like, you can't read all the books. It's like, yeah, you can't. But... like, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, there's going to be something I miss that could be, like, the best thing ever.
Most life-changing shit ever.
Yeah, and could, like, influence my greatest project yet. And I'll never get to read it, even if I, like, try super hard.
Here's a question. What are your most favourite hip-hop albums ever?
Ooh, Mad Villain.
Oh, yeah, great pick.
Or Mad Villainy. Have that one on vinyl. Sick as fuck.
Does it have the orange little
Yeah,
square?
yeah, that's great. I started with a Doom album. Now, if I say another one, people are going to be like, "Oh, you fucking don't listen to that much, Doom."
Fuck.
So I was like, albums are hard because there's some albums where I'm like, there's some just
Really, I find it easier than films because albums you can easily digest it. It's more passive.
Yeah, but I like to do a thing where I go, like, through lockdown, I just go on YouTube and, like, just listen to songs and then just find, like, obscure shit. You know what I mean? So, and then, like, which is great because some of my friends will put on their Instagram stories like, I need new music, and I'm like, I can hook you up, dude, because I found some shit that you've never heard and it's fucking amazing. But
how about
albums is hard.
Instead of hip hop albums, just albums in general?
Just open the floodgates. So fucking many. I think Mac Villainy still on there, straight up.
Do you like Pinata? Freddie Gibbs and Madlib.
I've only listened to a few tracks of it.
Really?
I'll be honest. I did like them though. I feel like it's one of those ones that comes on when I'm like, because I hate to be a bitch, but I don't pay for Spotify Premium, so
wow.
so like, occasionally if Pinata comes on, it's because I've been listening to like Madlib, and then he gets like put in there into the mix when you run out of skips or whatever.
Do you know Blue? Wait.
Oh, I just thought of an album, Slow Tie, Nothing Great About Britain. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can't. It's
Represent
so
your
good.
town.
It's brilliant. Like, and we're from Northampton. You can't ignore it.
Forget him on the podcast.
But yeah, Igor. I fucking loved Igor. I listened to the shit out of that one. Even though I ignored it for ages, like for the longest time, and then just suddenly I was like, oh, I'll give it a listen. I was like, oh shit, it's good. This turned into a hip hop list, isn't it? Anyway,
what about have you listened to Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous by Big L?
Big L's good, but I haven't listened to that much. Like, this is like put it on and like bits, you know what I mean? But I've never like.
He goes harder on the album.
Yeah, damn.
1995. Yeah. Most Def, Black on both sides.
Or like Illmatic, like Nas.
Nas, yeah.
That's a
That's
good
the
one.
first hip hop album I ever listened to.
Ooh, that's a
Front
good
to
one.
back.
Good place to start out. I think my early hip hop for me was like Biggie.
Yeah.
Like Biggie was my entry point, like Machine Gun Funk and like partying bullshit and stuff, and I was like, this is sick as fuck.
Notorious Thugs.
Yeah, it's so good. Biggie's a fucking god tier, always will be,
100%.
in terms of all music ever.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a certain like bands or musicians like Nirvana,
Yeah,
where it's
they're
like,
just so ahead.
yeah, they're just above.
They're just like
Fucking
larger than life.
Yeah,
Like Jimi Hendrix as well. He's larger
yeah,
than life.
fantastic, and just always gonna be like part of that legends list. You know what I mean?
Like
Of
it's
just people.
almost impossible to get to that stage. You have to be special. Like
Yeah, you have to be doing something. You have to like change. You have to change shit. You know what I mean? Like Nirvana killed hair metal. Like Biggie basically brought gangster rap into fruition. You know what I mean? You have to.
Hendrix changed the way he played the guitar.
Yeah,
completely.
and no one's been able to do it
But
since.
it's
Like, he said, "Hey
like,
guys, check out
he
what I'm
passed
doing."
away what, like how many decades ago? Must be at least 50 years ago.
That's
Over all that.
crazy to think about. and
Some people
it still holds
haven't
up.
still caught up. Not even close.
Yeah, there's people
Oh.
just giving up hope at this point. It's not going to happen.
The
We
guy was
peaked.
27 when he passed away.
Fuck, it's crazy. 27 Club, same as
27 Club.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Was Amy Winehouse passed away at 27?
Yeah, I think so. She was part of it. There's a few others as well,
Yeah.
but we don't give a fuck about them. They're not on the legends list. Fuck them.
Oh.
But no, what else? I've been listening to. Have you listened to 100 Gex?
No.
Ooh, you'll either. I tell you what it's like. I don't know quite how to describe it. You'll listen to it first time, and then you'll message me and tell me to go fuck myself. And be like, this is dog shit. And
hip hop.
Not really. No, I wouldn't say it. No, it's something on its own. It's just weird. It's just odd. And you'll tell me I'm an asshole for recommending it, and you'll be like, fuck this. You'll turn it off, and then a few days later, you'll find yourself listening to it. And then you'll listen to more of it, and then you'll listen to the whole album. You'll be like, so much fucking going on here, but I don't know what it is. And like, it's just this weird music that's like almost deliberately bad.
Yeah.
But like, you're just like
Def
they're doing.
Oh.
It's just odd. But yeah, their 100 Gex, that album 1000 Gex is like.
We haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, they kind of blew up recently with one of their videos. Like got swooped up in the YouTube algorithm, and I think that's how people know about them. But it's like just one of those oddities. But yeah, but other music for me, it's like punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Black Flag, fucking amazing.
I haven't listened to much punk, so I can't comment.
Oh man, you're missing out. It's like kind of one of those weird things where people treat it like there's punk and then there's hip hop, and then you realise they're kind of cousins
Yeah.
to each other. They overlap. There's that same sort of like anger and same sort of emotion behind it, and it just gets stoked and stuff. You know, it's sick as fuck. It's just different way of it being expressed in a weird way. But yeah. Fuck, here we are, photographer and a videographer, and we're talking about music.
Yeah, you gotta like go beyond your video, you know.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Is there any other mediums that you take influence from?
Manga.
Manga, huh?
Yeah,
I've never really.
it's very. It's because I've been really like. Oh, you won't know who he is, but
Lay out the name.
Junji Ito.
I know who Junji Ito is,
You know
the
who he
horror
is?
guy. Yeah,
Yeah. Have you read his Uzumaki?
That's Spiral. into
Spiral,
Madness, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, I haven't read it, but
And fuck that ending, by the way.
the one I have read is the Enigma of Amagara Fault. That was like how I found him, and it's like a short story about there's an earthquake and like these like a rock face gets revealed, and it's got all these human shaped holes in it, and then there's a news report about it because they're like, whoa, look at these human shaped holes, and then people start turning up there because they saw it on TV and they're like, that's my hole, and then people like walk down it, like people are like, no, I'm going in, they're like human shaped holes, and it's just like, yeah, I won't spoil like the ending, but that's the gist of it, and it's it freaked me out. I was like, oh, there's something here, like yeah, Junji Ito is amazing. But yeah, a lot of manga I don't know jack shit about, you know, unless they turned it into an anime, and then I might know, but you know what I mean, it's like one of those mediums that I've never really
it's very
thought a lot
interesting.
about.
Obviously, it's like comic books and all kinds of stuff, but it's just very. There's something about it that's very different.
It's different from comic books.
Yeah, it's reverse as well.
Yeah, because
art's better in my opinion as well, depending on the manga.
Ooh, controversial.
Yeah.
I tend to find it's just a lot more because comic books is just like superheroes and shit.
Yeah.
But manga seems to be more open in what it can do, and I guess that's why we have comic books and visual novels, and they're separated. But I guess in Japan it's just manga. It's all the same shit. It's drawings with some speech bubbles. You know what I mean? It's all the same stuff to them.
Literally, just all it is.
Yeah, and it's like, but it seems like a much more open medium than like comic books, because comic books have to be like Spider-Man or Black Panther or Iron Man or whatever the fuck. Yeah, and what do you think about Avengers films, comic book movies? What's your opinion on them?
I'll tell you what. Oh shit! You're punching on my hands and everywhere.
He's got a point. He's been mulling over.
You know, Martin Scorsese, he said like how Marvel films are like.
Yeah, he said it's like a different
amusement park rides.
Yeah,
not true cinema.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, "What was he talking about?" But now I'm just like,
yeah, he's right.
Actually, agree.
Yeah.
Because they're really fun, they're very vibrant, but they never really hit me in that way.
Yeah.
No Marvel film ever hit me.
Yeah, there's not as much stuff to. They're very. I don't know what it is about them. I'm not like a huge fan. I haven't actually seen that many of them.
I've seen almost all of them except for like 3.
So you probably know more than me. I've seen 3 and not the other ones. I've seen the 3 you haven't, probably.
Oh, vice versa.
But yeah, I just kind of.
It's very formulaic.
Yeah, but superheroes always are. I feel like it's like
depends on the superhero.
Hero, villain, fight, and then.
Depends on the hero and the character, because Joker's not a hero obviously, but the way they did it, it was very like the overall. Is that
the new Joker?
Oh yeah, 2019. It just felt different. I thought okay. If you ask me who directed it without looking at the credits, I thought Scorsese would have directed it, in my opinion, because the way it was just put together, like he grew up in New York City,
right?
Gangs and all that kind of shit. There was that element in it. Just the way it feels, I feel like. It could have been a pitch that Scorsese did.
Who did direct it?
Todd Phillips.
Oh, okay.
The guy did The Hangover. Which I was that's my reaction as well.
But that was like there's always people like that surprise you when they like direct stuff, like fucking Jonah Hill did mid-90s.
Yeah, I've seen that. Is it good?
It's fucking amazing. I mean, you're not a skateboarder though, are you?
No.
I'd be interested. I don't know, because I've shown it to people who aren't skateboarders. They're like, yeah, that was a good film. It's A24.
Oh yeah.
So just to give you an idea of what to expect, because they're kind of their own thing, like, you know what I mean, because they did Lady Bird as well and Midsummer as well, and there is an A24 formula almost. You know what I mean? It's like this indie film sort of thing. Like, I was surprised. Is Napoleon Dynamite fucking A24?
Is that A24?
I don't think it is, but it could be. You know what I mean? It's one of those ones where I'm like, it could be.
That shit came out ages ago.
Yeah, it's old now. It's like 2004 or something.
Did you like that film?
Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I don't get it. Because when he said the best part was like him dancing.
Yeah, that was cool. I don't know, it just had that. I don't know what it was.
The way he spoke, I just hated it.
What do you think about movies like Bill and Ted or Dude, Where's My Car and like Wayne's World and shit? Because I feel like Napoleon Dynamite, I feel like went into that sort of style of film. Like, you know what I mean? Just
I've heard about those films, but they never really interested me for some reason.
I love them. I think I watched like Dude, Where's My Car is my guilty pleasure film, right? Because it's like on any streaming service, like Dude, Where's My Car, 1 star, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. And I will watch Dude, Where's My Car, and no matter how many times I watch it, I will still like cry laughing at it. And it's like it's like my dad showed it to me when I was like 8 or something, and it's still like to this like day, like my dad and my brother will quote that movie still, to the point where like people I hang out with, like my mum hadn't seen it for ages, and she was like, I feel like I've seen the film though, given how much you fucking like reference it and go on about it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like you kind of have to switch your brain off and just kind of
just enjoy
the stupid humour of it. You know what I mean?
You don't have to overanalyze it or nothing.
There's nothing to analyse. There's nothing to go into.
Or is there?
Maybe. God, we should do a video essay on that style of film. You know what I mean? It's just this weird genre. Bill and Ted 3 comes out soon as well. 3. Keanu Reeves 50 now.
What do they do in the films?
Nothing.
Do this like one party and
No, Bill and Ted actually probably has more of a plot than like Wayne's World or the other ones, because they are. So I think Bill and Ted 1 is he has to do well in a history project, which is like they go on stage and do like a little performance about history, and then George Carlin time travels from the future in a phone box.
We're talking about the same film, right?
Yeah. To help Bill and Ted with their history project, because Bill and Ted go on to be like world leaders with their band or something ridiculous. So if they fail the history project and Ted gets sent off to military school, then it won't happen. And then it's like this time they go through history collecting historical figures, and then they do like the play thing at the end. So it's like a fucking wacky story that features like Socrates and Napoleon.
What?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a weird film, but it's like...
It's a complete U-turn from what I was expecting.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's like you say, it's like... It's such a dumb film, but it's got George Carlin in it and Keanu Reeves. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? It almost reminds me of like a Kevin Smith film. You know what I mean? Where it's like, is this good or is it really shit? I can't decide. Like with some of them. Like, have you watched Kevin Smith films? Like,
probably not.
No, this is... How dare you?
Yo, I'll be in my zone.
Yeah, it's a weird, like, great, just like stupid films. You know what I mean? It's like this sort of like teenage humor to them. But it's like, there's teenage humour in the Disney Channel sense, and then there's like this type of teenage humour where it's like, that movie was really funny, but I never want to watch it with my parents. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, one of the most awkward experiences of my life when we first moved to this house, and like our internet and Skybox didn't work yet because we'd moved and we're still shifting over, so we just had my like DVD collection, which isn't very big because I don't think anyone has like a massive DVD collection anyway.
No, I don't. I have a vinyl collection, to be fair.
Yeah, vinyls, something about vinyl, they just look cool, you know what I mean? DVDs don't look cool on a shelf.
Don't. The cover art is larger, you can appreciate more.
Yeah.
The credits, the artwork, it's just nice.
And it's like forces you to experience it because you have to like halfway through you have to flip it, you know what I mean? You can't just put it in the background and let it play through the playlist, you know? But yeah, that's this fucking experience, and we were like, oh, what are we going to do for entertainment? And I was like, oh, I've got DVDs, so we got them out, we're going through. And one day we kind of got to the end of what we had, and my mum was like, oh, what do you want to watch? And my brother was like, let's watch Clerks, and I was like,
so that's so enthusiastically.
Yeah, and it ended up going on, it lasted maybe 10 minutes before I just went upstairs. My parents were like, turn it off. Because it was not something you watch with your kids. You know what I mean? Just like, it's like Clerks you watch with your mates, or you watch it on your own, it's funny, but with your parents.
Wait, how old were you when you moved in? Like,
it was recent, man. I've only been here like maybe a year. Like it was like this time last year I moved here. Yeah, because
2019.
So yeah, it's been because I used to live in Grendon, so I used to live in a village like miles away. So which changed my uni experience drastically because I could actually walk home for the first time. You know, as like when I was in the village, it was like, you ain't getting home. Like it's a 3-hour walk. It's like you cannot stay out late ever. It was crazy. But now I'm here, it's like I have so much freedom. People can come up to here and we can do shit, and I can, you know, get anywhere at any time. It's fucking helped my photography stuff out loads because I'm just flexible again. Because I used to be like, I can do it if you give me a month's notice, and then I might be able to get it arranged for me to get off this, you know, out of this remote place. You know what I mean? Sure. But yeah, being here's sick. It's like, now I've got this going. Awesome. You can do anything. Yeah, it's super good. What's the time, man? I'm curious because
4:37.
4:37. Oh, nice. So yeah, I was worried we were going to check in. It'll be like, oh, it's 6:30. Be like, fuck, we're meant to be at the carry. Run. But yeah, it sounds like the rain has stopped though, so we might be. Has it stopped?
It's an hour walk, man.
It's not that bad. I do it every day.
For some wear, and I don't want to get the fit.
Oh my god!
It's only like.
Where's your resolve, man? Come on!
It's an 8-pound ride. Come on.
Yeah.
Plus it's cold. I ain't got a jacket.
True. That's fair enough. Yeah, might have to get a taxi down. You know.
Thanks, man.
To save you.
Oh, I've got to protect my sexiness.
Gotta look good when you go into the Gary. You can't. I never look good when I go to Gary. I turn up looking like a homeless person.
I can't relate. I'm
people
sorry.
look at me, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
It's what's in the inside.
Thank God there's something in there. I'm not just empty. Not just an empty shell. Especially with this hair as well. If this hair gets wet, I just look like a rat.
Do you have to tie it or anything like that?
No, I've considered it. I could do it. I could do a ponytail, like but I don't know. I'm not. Once this, I'm kind of like, it was just let it be a symbol of how long this COVID shit's gone on. Also, like, there's times where it like gets to my face, I'm like, fuck, get out of here. At least it's getting colder again. When it was like height of summer, my head was hot.
Speaking of COVID, actually, what did you do during lockdown? I listened to the podcast and you said fuck off.
I'm trying. Did I really do anything?
Is there anything big that stood out to you? Anything?
I did a couple shoots for a couple people. I got to shoot for fuck's sake, why though, in front of a mural. Yeah, I was stoked on those. When I got this back, I was like, yeah, sick.
Mural looks sick, by the way.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's so cool. But yeah, that was intense because we were like, we got to get it before people go and like tag it and stuff. So we like got in there quick and did it like during the lockdown stuff. That was like probably the biggest photography thing I've done. And then I'm trying to think. There wasn't that much stuff I've done really, apart from like think about next year's project when that stuff came out. Like, yeah, it was just like a weird time. I kind of just embraced it. I was like, cool, I get to sit at home and do nothing for a bit. Like,
I can't do that, man.
I can't do it for that long. They probably lasted. Yeah, actually, because we still had uni work going into lockdown. So actually, I was thinking about it, like I was doing uni work.
Yeah.
And then when we finished uni work, me, Joe Joyce, and Danny went like,
shout
freedom.
out Joe Joyce.
Yeah, shout out Danny as well. The Gary boys who aren't back yet. But yeah, we actually I finished, and then we had like in the morning we all had like a Zoom call with the lecturers to like. For whatever reason, it didn't, just to like explain what we'd been doing.
I hate that shit.
It's awful. I hate it. It's awful.
We're gonna get plenty of that next year, I think.
Yeah, we are. Not looking forward to that.
Not looking forward to that.
But yeah, and it was like, that morning, like I finished that, and I was like, Joe, when can I come to yours? Like I know it's 11 a.m. and we're meant to be like hanging out having a drink, but I'm bored already. You know what I mean? Like so I hung out with those guys a lot before they went home to wherever they live, which is too far to just go hang out with them. But they're coming back soon. I'm like, yes, we're back. Get everyone back together. Like, yes. Yeah, it's just been a
final year. Like,
how are you feeling about final year? What's your take on it? You stoked? Are you?
I'm very happy about it, but it's just with COVID, it's not.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Will be a bit restricted,
awkward and things like that. Yeah, it's gonna be an odd thing, but like. Because there's a lot of people who are like, last year I'm nervous.
I'm not nervous.
And there's some people I talk to who are like, we've basically left, like panicking about leaving.
Basically left?
Yeah, they're panicking about being out of uni. They're like, we have to be in the real world now. It's like,
do you like have a plan after uni or like, fuck it, who cares?
I have somewhat of a plan. Like my plans are either possibly masters, but also through the lecturing staff and stuff, I've advised like maybe take a year or two out and like see if you can actually do photography. Do you know what I mean? Before you go and invest, like take the biggest.
Every single person told me that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's probably just like getting it together as like freelance to do as much photography as possible and and also like I kind of see it from this perspective as well, because masters it's like you go do another big project. And if you do it without any gap between degree to masters, it's like you're doing one big project, then following up with another big project.
Yeah.
And I feel like you need like a little bit of time sometime to think of something like grand enough. Because I can come up with a project, but it's not necessarily going to be good. If I've just poured everything into my degree, and then I'm like, I've got to come up with another one that's even better. It's like, I don't know whether I'll have it straight away, but yeah, it's like freelance probably. try and live
Pretty
life.
safe. So like
you know?
freelance, live your life,
Yeah.
and then maybe masters.
Yeah.
Sounds solid.
Maybe
plan.
starve a little bit for a while. Then the third option is just hope COVID takes me out and I don't have to worry about it, you know?
Oh, you don't want that, man. Come on.
But yeah.
You're what, like 21, 20?
What's the day today? 2nd?
Yeah.
13 days and I'm 21, dude.
Wow,
13
you're
days,
old,
it's
bro.
coming out, yeah.
Dang.
How old are you? I swear you're the same age as me.
Yeah,
What about you're old, you
I'm like
dickhead?
3 months old.
You're calling me old.
But listen, I'll be at a retirement home 3 months after you. Okay, so this
Time.
3 months is a long time.
God.
Yeah, okay.
And then we'll probably just be having this conversation again in a retirement home.
See you in like 4 years.
Yeah.
I'll be in like 4 years time for the second part.
God, it's a
shit.
crazy thought though. Like,
Do you ever like? I did have this question I want to ask. I feel like I'm interviewing you.
go for it. Who cares?
Do you ever like have like what if scenarios in your head? So like, what if I didn't go to uni? Like, how different would your life be? What if I didn't meet that certain person?
Ooh. Do you know what I did have?
What if I
Because
had picked up the camera as well?
right, the one I think about is A levels. I did fucking A levels because I thought that's what smart people done. And apparently I'm not smart. So my A level grades in if you're planning on hiring me in the future, my A level grades were great. But in reality they were pretty just like not shit, like I didn't fail, but they weren't like whoa, you know what I mean? They were pretty on the like probably slightly below average, you know, because I just didn't give a shit.
GCSEs for me.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And I did A levels, and my mum asked me like, do you think it would have been smarter for you to have just gone to college and just done photography straight up? Because the reason I did A levels as well, because it was like, oh, maybe I'll go into computer science, you know, which like what a waste of time that was in hindsight. But
migraine nose.
yeah, exactly. But then I think
nerds, though.
but yeah, I think about it like, yeah, it would have let me invest, but then I look at all like the stuff I actually learned that didn't get me like an amazing grade or whatever, but the stuff it gave me to think about and that has influenced my work would look totally different if I went to college, and I probably wouldn't have been looking at like a lot of my stuff pulls from like Japanese philosophy and Zen and things like that, and I
Well, you listen to
like,
do you study upon like East philosophers like Confucius, Lao Tzu?
I haven't in a while. But in my A levels and coming into first year, that's where my thing was at, and it's like obviously it's diversified now and changed, and I'm coming back to it now for my final project because I have to, because it's like you have to write everything down, every single thought, and but yeah, that's what I was looking at, and I'm like, if I went to college, my mind probably wouldn't have ended up there. I'd be, because before I did A levels, like photography for me was like, the art stuff's bullshit. I've got to be like just on the work mode and do it commercially. That's the only thing. And then like, you know, through A levels and stuff, it gave me much like, no, the point is not to just try and make loads of money. It's like, I want to make fucking good photos. You know what I mean? So it's like that change, you know. Sure. And maybe it will bite me in the arse in a couple of years' time. I'll be like, fuck, whoops. But you know, it's one of those things. Like, fuck. What about you, man? What ifs?
My biggest what if is, what if I don't go to uni? That is my big, because you didn't know me from 2018 September, October.
I met you like last year.
2019 September, October, because of a union day and signing the. Yeah,
it was for the society and stuff.
I spoke to Alex because I was like, I know you from secondary school. I know you too. And you're just standing there. Yeah, okay. Well, eventually get to know you, of course.
And then you became one of our star members.
Oh, don't even want to show the best. Do you want to tell that story?
What the Weatherspoon story?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was.
Because they're wondering what they're laughing at.
Ooh, that was so we'd started the society. We had the first couple meetings, but we were still trying to feel out what people actually wanted.
And people never really gave answers. They were very vague.
Yeah, they were super vague. But it was always the student union was like, find out what your members want and then do that. That's the way to do it. And we're like, okay, that's the way we do it. And it turns out that's not the way to do it, because you end up doing because we had like that first meeting was like 30 people. There was a lot of people there, dude. And
media lot as well, which surprised me.
Yeah, like from all different courses. No photography students though.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it changed as it went on though. But But yeah, and we were like, what do you guys want to do? Like, and it was like, that's where the talk ideas came from, the workshops, which, and also the other thing, it's like, we're a society, we want to do socials. And I'm like, well, we can do socials whenever, because we don't have to fill out forms and stuff. We can just, you know, in the group chat agree. So it was like, who wants to go fucking Spoons next? It ended up being like Spoons. Yeah, someone recommended Spoons.
She was so happy
like,
when she said that as well.
Yeah, it was like, it got it lit up.
Everyone was so happy as well.
Yeah, everyone was like, yeah, let's go Spoons, hang out. Because a lot of them were freshers as well. So it was like, we found people, you're like, you know, uni, whatever.
You scheduled it for next week.
Yeah, it was literally next week, and people were like, yeah, that works for us, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna bring the party to Spoons next week. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next Friday. I'm like, yeah, people still down and stuff. A lot of people replied, yeah. We turned up at a time. How many of us was there? It was me, you, and maybe 2 others.
I don't even know if I can say her name. But she don't listen anyway.
Yeah.
Katerina.
Yeah, and then 2 others.
Who else was that person?
I think there was 5 of us, dude. 5? There was 5 at most.
Amy?
Yeah, Amy and her friend.
5. But then they had to go eventually.
Yeah, they went super quick. Katrina was like, I'm fucking out of it. Yeah, it was the most, it was awful.
I felt so bad because I was late as well. And I was like, shit, you know, everyone's there already. Like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
And I came in and I'm like, wait,
where is everybody? Yeah, it was fun though, because you stuck out until my other friend turned up, because I was meeting someone, because I was like, oh, we'll do this and then get that fire started and then I'll go do it with my other friends. And I just remember you sitting there like, can't believe this. Like, I could see it in your head, you're like, I could have went to any fucking society and I picked this fucking one, this joke.
No, trust, I'm so glad I picked photography society out of anything, because the sports societies are like the initiation and all. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but
I've heard rumours.
Those rumours are true, trust me. So I was like, over time I started hearing about it. I was like, I'm so glad I didn't do a sport, you know?
Yeah, it was
awful.
The talks for me were like the coolest things, because we got some cool fucking names in to give talks.
Candy as well.
Yeah, Candy, Ellen, Gabriel. Gabriel's coming on the podcast 2 weeks time. Stoked for that one. Someone else gave it. Ismina. Shout out those 4. They were super awesome. That like voices that you wouldn't normally get on the course, and I'm super glad we did them. Yeah. And for those people who came. All said they fucking love it. I think it's just one of those things where students are kind of lazy.
I completely understand.
Not to chat shit.
No, trust me, chat shit.
I kind of get it. It's like one of the.
They're just so like, I don't know.
They set them off, people.
I don't care what they say. It's just like, you know how people pay $9,000 a year to come here to go to any university, but then they're like, do it later. I'm just like, you got the facilities, you got everything there. Like, I've had to make excuses.
Yeah, there's a balance. Like, you can definitely go overboard the other way and just like not do any social stuff. And 10% work. Yeah, it was. Such a shame. But yeah, the people enjoyed it. The reason, like, it is going to be a thing next year, but not through the SU. It wasn't. The issue wasn't the lack of attendance. We had decent attendance. It was like 15, 20 people turned up. That's more than some lectures I've been to. You know what I mean? The problem was the SU thought it was costing too much, so we've dropped out of the SU, and to spite them, I'm going to do it again anyway, and I'm going to pay for it just to be like, oh, you're a student union, you can't afford it, but me, a student, can just pay it out of pocket. Oh, you poor guys. Fucked. Sorry. Yeah, go fuck yourself. But yeah. You know what I mean? So that's the. That's
so petty. I love it. You remind me of me.
Yeah, I just prefer to do it than to not do anything. You know what I mean? And people enjoyed it, and people got something from it. I always get like the bit I kind of loved was when. Do you do like group reviews on your course?
Peer reviews?
Yeah, well, we have. Reviews. So we get a project set, and then it'll be like, oh, in 2 weeks, come back and show us what you're thinking, and your PowerPoints and stuff, your sketchbooks or whatever, and then you do like a group.
I did tutorial. A documentary pitch, so like we pitch it in front of class.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is for like a project pitch, and like people would show who they're looking at for research and things, and I'd always like there was someone I saw and they had Gabriel Deacon in their thing, and I was like, yes. You know what I mean? I was like, yes, they took someone from the society and they like actually used it. It's like just that little thing. It's like I got someone stoked on a photographer
Inspired,
that I like. You know what I mean? It's like that part of it, and I just want to. You know, you want your peers to do well. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
At the end of the day,
Always
it's like,
make sure you pull them up.
Yeah.
Some people, they just want to like, don't touch me, I just want to stay here. Like, out of here. Like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's you can't help everyone, but you want to.
Yeah.
Those who want to help themselves, it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get
Push them
everyone
up.
fucking together and
Get
let's,
up together.
let's be just a sick fucking year of students, you know, and like break the stereotype of like lazy students or whatever.
Yeah, that's so tiny to be
And-
broken quick.
Yeah. But,
Especially like us art students. If you're doing arts
yeah,
in uni,
when you're
get
doing
a
an art
proper
subject,
job.
yeah,
Like,
you
fuck
already have.
you.
Like, you're going there to dick around for 3 years. It's like, no, I want to fucking do it, man. And
The
I'm-
facilities ain't cheap as well.
yeah, no.
How much does that photography studio cost? Like,
It's top of the fucking line as well,
Yeah.
dude. It's like industry standard. It's so good to work in.
the shit
It's
is
amazing.
not cheap at all.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Best lights, pro
Very
photo.
beautiful.
Oh,
You know?
oh my god, I love using. I miss it. This is the studio now. We have a backdrop. That's it. And I have my 2 studio lights, but they're like, it's like the difference between a rusty old car that's ugly and doesn't really work, and it has a cassette player, but no one owns cassettes, and even if they did, it doesn't work anyway. And then the uni's like a Lamborghini, you know, it's
Brand new
perfect.
McLaren.
It's, yeah, just beautiful hypercar. It's like, oh, and then gets whipped away from me and COVID and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just want to.
And you got one more year with it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that Lambo goes bye bye.
I know, unless I buy my own. Which
one day.
I don't know. One day. Yeah, growth mindset. Yeah, one day.
Late
Not
20s,
yet.
I'd probably say.
Late 20s. That's not that long though, dude. I'm already 21.
I feel, like
Basically
people,
there.
I feel like people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate
True.
what they could do in a decade.
Yeah, a lot's changed. I feel like we're 20. We have no concept of a decade really.
That is true.
You know, we've experienced 2 decades, but
but
they're unique decades because it's childhood,
baby, yeah.
and then the
Pre-teen,
teenage years,
adolescent, yeah.
adolescence, and they're different from every episode. Like the decade we're in now is going to be different from that, but I imagine like their adult decades,
Yeah.
they're classed as the same thing. There probably are differences, you know.
Hey, our brain doesn't even develop until what, like 25? That's
Yeah,
what I
we're
heard.
still fucking morons. We're still growing, forming, which gives me hope because I'm like, I haven't peaked yet. I'm still a little
So
bit
going
more
up.
uphill before it
Yeah.
just keeps plummeting, you know.
Oh.
Like, yeah, I was we were talking about time yesterday with Alex Wilson on the podcast, and like how bad human beings are at perceiving time,
Yeah.
and it's because we're just shit at accepting our mortality and things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, death's such a weird concept, but like, and I feel like it's weird because those first 2 decades we go through is when you find out about it and then have to like wrestle with it, but it's like the worst time for you to have to deal with it because
Yeah.
you've got all this other shit going on, your mind's not
Step
really
into the
right.
real world. Well,
Yeah.
It's too much.
But I tend to find it's like there's some kids and teenagers who like aren't really aware of death, and then in adulthood they're very different from the people who I find who are like I've had friends be like, oh, I feel like I'm just too preoccupied with it, like
Yeah.
I'm scared of it or whatever, and I'm like, that's probably a good thing, but you just
Coaches you to work harder.
yeah. I my favourite one on death is Henry Rollins, and he was like, death's what like gets me out of bed in the morning, you know, because he wakes up at like 6 a.m. every day and like goes and does stuff, like works out, this crazy motherfucker, and it's like that idea. He's like, I wake up and I think like time's ticking down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it works. If you ever go through that period of time where you're like, oh, I'll sleep in, and then you're like, I don't want to sleep in anymore, and you're trying to break out of that, just think like, you're gonna die one day, and then it's like, I'm out of bed, let's go do stuff, I'm ready.
Oh.
Like, it's a cure for procrastination or anything.
It's
It's
crazy because every second, just closer to death, man. Like
Yeah.
we're all literally, you know, people say, "Oh, I'm chasing for success." We're all going in the same way at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just
It all-
like it's kind of depressing, but at the same time, it's like
yeah,
a bit inspiring in a way because you
yeah,
have
it
this,
used to super like bum me out. I'd be like, because it's like a weird concept because you're just like alive and happy, and then it's like It's all gonna end one day,
Yeah.
and it's like. But then someone said like, you know, you got the same as everyone else. You know, everyone gets that 100 years, for example, and then your actions within it may make it shorter or maybe longer. You know, but everyone gets the 100 years roundabout, and it's like it's what you do with it. And then also it's like the actual dying part. Even if you die slowly over a couple of days, that's nothing in terms of like your whole life.
Yeah.
Unless you.
That's like the tiniest percentage of
Yeah.
it.
If you die when you're old, do you know what I mean? Even if there's like 3 days you're sick in the hospital, it's like it's nothing, dude.
Yeah.
You know. And there's that weird thing like people with terminal illnesses. They're like, oh, I feel more alive than ever, and it seems big backwards.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because it's like you're aware of it. It's like
They're
most
meant to be more alive than ever.
Yeah, but like, and they appreciate it a lot more as like in your average day to, especially our age. Like, how many times have you heard it where people are like, teenagers think they're invincible? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's why teenagers do like stupid stuff.
Fucking shit. Yeah. My
And
second story.
It's
So if you're listening right now and you're one of the crackheads at 2 a.m. shouting and screaming, I'm sorry. Go home. Oh.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh yeah, have fun, but
it's like
I'm
you
trying
know,
to
have
sleep
fun.
sometimes.
You learn your limits. You know what I mean. You get close
Yeah.
to it. It's life experience, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like people don't acknowledge it when you're young. I feel like we're acknowledging it now when we're young. I try to imagine what we're going to be like in 10, 20 years.
Oh.
We're going to be complete downers of human beings.
Shit.
But no, it's like death's a weird thing. It's like
You can't really grasp it because no one comes back from it as well. You can't.
yeah,
You can't ask someone who's died, like, oh, what do you think? you know, like,
give me some comfort with it. But it's like, and it's like you can't think about it in like in your day to day, or you go mad. Like
Yeah.
it will just send you insane. It's the infinite. It's the Lovecraftian monster that would just turn you
To
insane.
your soul.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Oh.
But it's like just part of it, and it's like, fuck man, it's what makes it all fucking so good though, because it's temporary. You know, like
Yeah.
it's why do the Japanese love cherry blossoms? It's because it lasts for those 2 weeks and then it's gone. You know, and they're pretty upfront about the temporality of things disappearing and how like it just makes everything more important. And
Yeah.
but it's well,
Bad news is that everything's temporary, but the good news is that everything's temporary.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's what you make
pick
of
and
it. You know,
choose.
it's like you've got here's your set of years. Make of it what you will. You know what I mean? And
it's a fun question. I think this is a really, really common
more
question.
fun than death.
Yeah, it relates to them actually. Would you rather know when you die or how you die?
Ooh, I don't know.
Have you got asked that before?
No, it's. I'm like thinking. I don't know because
It's a bit of a trick question in a way because if you forget how you die, it's like you can avoid.
well, the thing is, how you die isn't that important to me
Really?
because I'm not gonna remember it, right? I'm not gonna go back and think about it ever. But when I die, although it's a scary concept, it's like I say, if you lie in bed in the morning, you're like, oh, I can't be able to get up, and then you think like, no, you're gonna die, motherfucker. Like, get out of bed, and then you're like, yeah, okay, that's logical. I'll get out of bed and go do stuff. So I'm like, if you had that, imagine you woke up and on the ceiling is just a fucking timer ticking down. It's like,
Fuck me.
like it's terrifying, but it's like. Yeah,
You can just
maybe I
see.
will go fucking like go skate today or go do something that I really want to do. Go fucking
Fuck.
do something crazy.
You see
But-
Death Note?
I saw maybe the first 1 or 2 seasons.
I think there's only one season. So
Only
like,
one?
Yeah.
I think I got to a point where there was that. Was there a point where the little girl turns up, and she has the eye thing?
I get what you... Oh yeah, the Shinigami eyes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she's done
'cause when you
the
said-
life half thing.
The reason why I
Yeah.
bring up Death Note is because when you say, "Oh, imagine knowing when you die," if you have the Shinigami eyes, you can see
Yeah.
when how many days you have left, which is
Yeah.
fucking a bit.
Doesn't it half your life as
Half
well?
your life as
yeah, it's
well.
half your life, and you know when you're gonna die.
So if you're like gonna die at 70, you die at 35, which is
Yeah.
very, very
That's
terrifying.
a lot. You know what I mean? That is. That's more than you when you think like half
That's
my
older
life.
than us.
You're like, yeah, half your life. What's that? And then it's like when you said like 70 down to 35, you're like, oh, Yeah, that is quite a difference now I think about it. Now I actually... That's the thing, humans aren't good at doing time. It's just a weird thing. I guess because we don't experience a lot of it, all in all.
We just love killing that shit.
Yeah.
Just want to wasting it away somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
who said, I want to kill
sometimes it's
time.
fun.
It
You
is
know what I
fun.
mean? It's like alcohol
Balance.
or drugs. It's bad for you, but you want to do
You
it.
gotta want to do it.
Yeah.
A
know,
little bit of weed.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh.
Oh man, it's a great. It's just time's a weird one, and whew, you know what I mean. I think that's why like having kids is such a important thing for people.
Do you want to have kids?
I don't know, man.
Dang, really?
No, like
I definitely do.
I would. Yeah, I'd have kids, but I don't know. Because here's the thing: I was in a relationship for 2 years. During all that, like, yeah, I'd have kids. Now afterwards, I'm like, now I'm single. I'm like, huh? Would I?
Would I?
I'm like one of these people where like my mindset is like I don't like to be too. I find the thing that destroys things in terms of like trying to do stuff.
Yeah.
Is when people want it to be a certain way, and that's what leads to disappointment. When you expect something, like I could, like in my head, I could be like, I want the podcast, or like, want and expect's different. I could expect the podcast and be like, I'm gonna do this podcast, get millions of views and shit, and then I'm like looking at it like, oh, I don't have millions of views, and I get bummed out. But like, I'm thinking about the podcast in terms of like, I just want to hang out with people, people I find cool and interesting.
Thanks,
and
man. That's so sweet.
But yeah, you know what I mean, the people that I find cool and interesting and stuff, so that like I still get something out of it, as I'm like, I have no expectations for it, and if it like goes somewhere, it goes somewhere, but I don't really know where it's going to go. Like,
it's just fun.
Being too planned out is bad. I had Alex Macarelli, he said to me, like, even in terms of just photo shoots, he was like, you don't seem to plan shit out that much, because Alex like sits there and he thinks about like the shots and the poses and stuff, as I just kind of get together with someone, I'm like, so let's just make some pictures together, and it's like more of a collaborative process for me. And I kick myself every day, because I remember reading something where they were like, it was either the Japanese or the Koreans have a word for it, which means like sort of a spontaneous approach to
me this as well.
Yeah,
and
I can't remember the word because I like every sketchbook I do, I want to put that word in.
What's the definition again?
It's like a spontaneous approach to making, like, being creative almost. Like a spontaneous approach to doing things. Like you're happy to let it
go with the flow, like type of thing.
Yeah, sort of. Like there's a plan, but you're happy to let it evolve based on who you're doing with it, and where you like stuff changing.
We
you know
need to
what
find
I mean?
out what the fuck that was.
Yeah, I need to look, like, do some deep digging into my internet.
Have you typed in Google and
I've tried. I don't know whether I saw it in a book or in Google or,
So how many years ago you saw, or months ago?
It wasn't that long ago. That's the thing. I think it was in a book. I might have to go back through and dig it out. But it is really annoying, But it's super like
a word.
Yeah, they had a word for it, and I was like, that is.
Not fuck, but
the word's fuck. I'm gonna put that in my sketchbooks. Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of my approach to life in a weird way, like just not having expectations for things as such. It's just like I'm just gonna work as hard as I can and stuff to get like the stuff out of it. Like my approach to photography is not to make millions; it's to make good images. You know what I mean, and to like think more and just keep going down that rabbit hole, you know what I mean, for me. So like with kids and stuff, it just depends, maybe I don't never get kids, but it's like fine,
but you're not like too bothered about it. That's good.
and for me it's like, I think for some people kids are like their legacy, you know what I mean.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I can see that because it's your bloodline continuing, but for me it's like the legacy for me is photography, so I already kind of am building one, so that's why I'm kind of like, if that happens. Also, I'm young, I'm stupid.
Pass their dreams onto their kids and force them to do that.
Yeah, and that's always kind of horrible to see. But I feel like you do that anyway. You kind of form kids in your image because the parents are the first people they know. You know what I mean? So they take on some of your traits anyway, even if you're not forcing it upon them. But sometimes you have to let them. You have to let them do whatever they want. Within reason, within fucking reason. But yeah, What about you, man? What's your opinion on kids?
I really want kids, man. Because basically the reason why is because, like, my family, my culture, obviously we're not cool, like, at all. We don't get along, like,
right.
you know, mum, my dad, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just a complete outcast.
Right.
I'm literally the definition of a black sheep in the family.
Right.
So I want to start my own bloodline, you know, because everyone in my family is Bengali. So, like,
right, okay.
they wouldn't accept someone that it sounds a bit fucked up, and I completely agree that's fucked up. So if I were to marry a Caucasian woman or a black woman or a Latina, anything like that, they'll be like, no, you're not doing that, Bengali only, because you want to keep the bloodline consistent. It's fucked up.
That's a crazy thing, because I think for my, like, I never experienced that sort of thing. If 50 years ago in a white family, I probably would have had that, you know, because I've had, like,
it's still going on to this day,
like,
especially
you know,
the brown community as well. It's fucked up. So it's just,
yeah,
for me, it's like I wouldn't force my future wife to be a Muslim or believe it, because it's a bit fucked up, you know, because my people, like, they force me to, like, believe in this, believe in that, otherwise if you don't, you go to hell and all that kind of shit, you know. They'll scare you. As a child, you're like, you know, I don't want to go to hell, I don't want to upset you, all that kind of stuff, I want to make you proud. But over time, like, whatever you do, whether you're a big success or a complete failure, you're always going to let them down. So that's why I want to make my own bloodline. Obviously teach my kids what my people didn't teach me, so they don't have to go through the same struggle that I went through, you know. So that's why I really want kids. But if my wife doesn't want kids, then fuck it. It's just not going to happen, you know.
Worth it, got laid.
Still smashed.
That's a crazy thing, because I was raised, like, without religion or anything, which was like when I started school and there's kids like, do you believe in God? And I go home and I'm like, Mom, Dad, what's this God guy people keep talking about? And, like, my dad was like, I was like, what's God and this Bible and religion business? My dad was straight up like, it's just a bunch of made up stories. And I was like, what? And then my dad's like, you weren't even fucking christened, you're the devil's children. I'm like, okay, fine, guess going down, like, so it's like real, like, you go to a school in England, it's like it comes up. In primary schools, they teach, like, they're all Church of England. They sing Christmas songs. They have religious undertones going on, you know. So it like I raised in that culture, but I was never religious. Like, I was always like, they're just stories. They have meaning in them, you know, but it doesn't mean that there's a God or Jesus or anything. To me, it's like I have a very weird relationship with it, where I wouldn't commit to I don't commit to anything because of an identity as well. Like, when people are like, I'm a Christian, or even political beliefs, people are like, oh, I'm a Labour supporter, or I'm a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like,
people cancel that.
There's that soundbite that's gonna go around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I never understood that.
People put labels on themselves, but that will, like, restrict them from knowing who they really are.
Yeah, because you don't allow yourself to change, because you lock yourself into it, and it's
fixed mindset.
Yeah. The one I find really weird, this is the feminism and feminist is a weird one, because people are like, I'm sure you've heard it, where people are like, do you believe in women being equal? And it's like, well, yeah, I'd be a bit of an arsehole if I was like, no. And they're like, well, you're a feminist then. You're on our team. You believe everything we believe. And there's no two words about that. I'm like, no, I just have just this one bit, The other stuff we'll see, but I kind of want to reserve the right to
think for myself.
And tell you you're wrong if you are, if I think you are, and to argue with you. They're like, no, but that just makes you a feminist. It's like, why do we have to have a team? You know what I mean? Can't we just...
We'll just leave you alone.
Can we not just have ideas? The funniest one was, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I can't remember how it came up. We were discussing psychology and stuff, and it got down the line, but this my favourite quote from him was, he's like, no, he was clearly like didn't know how to get around this or whatever. It was so funny watching him trying to like word it in a way where he didn't. It was like, it's just me and you, dude. No one's gonna get mad. And he was like, look, I'm a feminist, but fuck that feminism shit. And I'm like, what? Like, he's like, I'm a feminist and stuff, but that feminism stuff gets a bit weird for me. I'm like, like, what is this weird thing where it's like you're on our team or you're the worst person ever, and it's like, oh, okay, it's so bizarre to me. I'm like,
oh shit,
like, yeah, it's just a really weird thing. It's like, you know, Manchester United and Tottenham both play football, but they're not on the same, you know, they're still like against each other. Like, that was a terrible analogy. It sounded way better in my head, dude, and I just went with it. But
so basically, like, you can support the team, but you'd have to be like Manchester, everyone else.
Yeah,
fuck yourselves.
It's so weird, and it's like this. People are getting more extreme. I've noticed.
Really, I think people are getting too. There's a classic Mike Tyson quote. People are too comfortable not being punched in the face.
Oh, maybe.
It's very true, because like, you can be anonymous online, be proper racist, do like Nazi shit, all that kind of stuff. What can we do?
Yeah, and it goes the other way as well. You have some pretty extreme, like, left-wing people as well, who never get challenged because they're in their online bubble and stuff, and they just get wrapped up in it, and then it's like, and it's very easy to watch like the same video framed differently.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like you watch that video with someone commentating over it, and your perspective on it flips completely. And it's like you have to, with the internet and the algorithm on Facebook and YouTube lets you just make a echo chamber for yourself. You have to you have to go out of your way to follow people you disagree with, which apparently is the wrong thing to do, because you have people going like, oh, I noticed you were following fucking Donald Trump. Like, what's that about? I hope you're following him ironically, and it's like,
just like, man. You know,
why are you looking at my following list? First off,
how can you even find out that kind of stuff? Just like manually.
Yeah, but it's like, that's like an example of it. And I mean, Donald Trump doesn't have a lot to say, but you know, he's the president, so it's like, can't just ignore him. But there's other figures like that. Just anyone who's like, you have to go out of your way to find people who disagree with you, and it's good for you to be challenged, because you can grow and build a new thing, you know, and synthesize and build on it both, and you can kind of not get too locked into anything, especially at our age, dude. I'd be very scared if I saw someone our age being like, no, I'm right, 100%. I know everything.
And it's too many people.
And it's like, okay, dude.
I call them out though because it's funny. I probably roast them because it's funny.
And watch their minds melt.
Yeah. So no, I'm right. I'm just trying to see it. Right?
Yeah, it's
I'm trying my food. Right. What do you want? Like,
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing that you see. Like,
politics is just. I never met. Have you ever met someone who's like really into politics and they're happy?
I don't know.
Not happy as like funny, but like happy as in like I'm really fulfilled with my life, all that kind of stuff.
Well, like, I mean, my ex is studying politics and something else at uni, and she didn't seem miserable. So, you know,
seem miserable.
Like, you know, maybe she was, but it was like, I mean, there's some people do love it, and it's like Hunter S. Thompson described it as like political junkies. Like, it's addicting to get in there, and like the phone facilitates that to an extent, because everyone nowadays thinks they know everything about political things and what's right and wrong and everything, and it's that whirlwind you get torn up in, and then you get out of it and you're like, fuck, what the hell just happened? And then it's like, it's very easy to get sucked back into it because you're like, you want that high again. It's that junky thing. But yeah, it's like, who was that? I think I was watching Tim Dillon. He was like, politics is for fucking losers. You know, it's like they were the fucking losers. You know, because they got nothing fucking better going on. That's the only thing.
To be fair, it's not
wrong. Yeah. So I'm misrepresenting it as like outrageous, but the way he worded it was like, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from, dude. He was like, yeah, it's like
just a miserable place.
It's like, do something else, anything else. It's horrible. It's because almost like everything can be criticised and broken down. So it's like, you can kind of, like with politics, people being like, politics is set in stone, it's this way. It's like, you can break everything down. You can have the exact same fact and it can be interpreted in different ways. It's like, you know what I mean?
Statistics say, oh, this happened, but you can skew it to your
narrative. Exactly, and it happens like with legalities, and things get twisted through different ways. It's like, well, it technically is like this. You know, it's like, well, is it really though? It's like, well, politically it's like this, and it's like, well, in the real world, Mike
Politically
Tyson would have
correct.
punched you
Yeah.
instead of, you know.
Oh, shit.
God, Mike Tyson, man.
Shout out Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson's
He's got a podcast as well.
Oh yeah,
Boxing with Mike, yeah.
That one's funny as fuck. He's just crazy. He's one of those ones like boxers as well. Do you ever find like life influences boxers are on that list? Like Tyson, Muhammad Ali, like, you know, those people just. It doesn't matter where, like, what walk of life people are on. Like, you'll be able to find a businessman or a flower shop owner or a fucking, you know, anything, you name it, and they're like, yeah, I really like Muhammad Ali. Like Muhammad Ali, or like Bruce Lee, like those sort of figures. They're like
Hendrix.
Yeah, they just transcend it to the point where it's like anything you do, you like.
Michael, like, you didn't even have to watch basketball. You'd be like, oh, I know who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah, just
Tiger
legends.
Woods.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
like the level that it's gonna be a fucking long time that I'm trying to get at, to the point where like everyone knows who this person is. It's difficult, but
It's a big dream, man.
I'm pretty sexy.
Fucking dream.
Oh,
I'm scared to even give myself that as a goal. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I don't want to live my life with the expectation of getting there, and it's like, or the hope. And I'm like, I don't want hopes.
I think because me and you, we like grew up very differently. Because I obviously had to go masking. My own people, like, they didn't accept me for who I am, so I'm trying to like fix that. Like, they all have that same materialistic mindset, so fixed, and you know, they just feel sorry for themselves and keep complaining. And I'm just like, look, I'm gonna show you how it's done. Okay, let me help you guys, even though you don't love me at all. Let me just help you. So
that's almost like a punk ethos, because it's like, I'm gonna go show you how it's done. It's like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it right.
Old,
you know?
Yeah,
I guess that's the way it goes. But yeah, man, it's I couldn't even like the idea of being like that level. You know, it's like
a lot of work.
It's kind of scary. It's a lot of work, which I'm like
connections.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I'm like for me, it's like I need to like enjoy it. Like my big thing is, and I feel like I've kind of drip feeded it into the other podcasts because it's like my favorite thing at the moment is like learning to enjoy the process of whatever you're doing.
100%.
So like some people are like, set goals and think about the end goal, and I'm like, fuck the end goal. I want to like enjoy the what I'm doing. Like, so whether I'm working on a project, I want to be invested in it, and I want to like feel my way through it properly.
That's the longest part as well. Like, the end is like the short, and the start is the short as well.
It's like
the middle is like
it's kind of like what we were saying about death. I'm like, that's just the end bit, you know. That's the last little bit of it, you know. I want. What about the?
What about the big chunk in the middle?
Yeah. What about the now? What about what's going on now? You know what I mean? I don't want to be. Yeah, it's kind of that scary thing, because I get like excited for stuff going up when I have a lot of like a photography gig coming up, or I have, you know, an exciting podcast guest come up. I'll sit there and be like, oh, I'm super stoked, and I realise like, it's like you said, like people like to kill time, and I'm like, am I just trying to kill time until this thing happens in 2 weeks' time? Like, I'm like, no, it's the worst way. I'm just losing time, and then my life becomes a series of events, and it becomes like, here's the 7 things that I spent my life waiting for, and they're 2 seconds long. In the, you know, they're insignificant in that, and I'm like, God, there was, you know what I mean? It's like these events were also miles apart, but to just leave nothing in between, it's like, it's like I don't want to, like, reducing your life to that is like,
exactly. It's like, you know, some people say, oh, I can't wait to get a house, I can't wait to win an Oscar. And then when it happens, it's like, okay, now what?
I had a friend growing up who was basically counting down the days till they could move out of their parents' house.
Dang.
And they just enjoyed nothing until like that day.
How many days?
Dude, they were like, I've known them since they were little, but when they like mentioned it, they were maybe like, they must have been young when we were hanging out. It was like top end guesstimate would be like 14. So it was like fully like a 4 or 5 year thing that she was like counting down the days.
That's over just 1,000 days.
Yeah, and just like that was her fixation for like a while. I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to be looking at life in that way, like waiting for stuff to come.
Out, like,
I'm not sure. I haven't seen them in ages. Like, it's you know, like,
that's crazy, though. It's too long.
Yeah, it's just like, even like short term. I think about it, like 2 weeks sounds like nothing. it's 14 days, which is then like each of those days 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's like, do I want to have thrown that away just to get that, like, that hour out of that person? I'm like, yeah, we're having a good time, and it ends, and I'm like, oh, I'm back to nothing again. It's like, fuck. I'd rather like just keep having something that keeps you going, you know, because you can't do nothing, otherwise you go insane. You know what I mean?
Trust
and it's
me.
like, there's a big problem with people with like social media, or like for me growing up, fucking video games, man. Video games.
San Andreas. Played that when I was 7 years old.
Yeah, for me it was fucking like Skyrim and shit.
I played a little bit of it. I was mainly a CS:GO guy.
Ooh, I did play a bit of CS:GO, but I was
got addicted.
Yeah, games are addicted. It's so bad. Like year 9 or 10, it would be like
Minecraft for me at that age.
Yeah, like for me as well. Like going home, turn on my Xbox. You know,
PC.
Get out my. I was a peasant compared to you. But yeah, like, you know, my week routine would be like, go to school, get home from school, press the little button on the Xbox, take my school uniform. That Xbox was on until, you know, 1 a.m.
Go to
like
sleep.
maybe a bit later. Go to sleep, wake up, try and survive my way through the school day. Our teachers being like, "Where's your homework?" Well, oh, I left it at home, miss.
Dog in it.
Yeah, oops. And then that would happen like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. It was like Friday till fucking Monday morning. That Xbox would just stay on, and it's just like my brain was.
Times were just so simple, man.
Yeah, it's just like, it was
I
not.
completely relate.
It was crazy though, but it got to the point where I'm like, fuck, I'm never doing homework. Like, school's completely out the window. Like, I don't. Like, you'd be sitting in lessons and I'm thinking about fucking doing Skyrim dungeons, you know? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm learning about mice and men and I'm thinking about frostbite spiders. What am I fucking doing? You know what I mean? It's just like crazy thing. I think in like end of year 9 into year 10, I basically literally didn't play video games for like a year. Like, and that's when I got into like movies and shit. Because movies, for some reason, it's like easier. Because games just keep going.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'll do like a couple quests, which I can do now because I have self-control. But those couple those couple quests turn into like playing basically the whole game. A game like Skyrim, you can play forever.
Yeah.
Or a game like Minecraft, it just like keeps going. Yeah, the competitive games and stuff. So it's like, ugh. But like movies, it's like 2 hours, they end, and there's something to think about as well. You know, afterwards.
Maybe a sequel.
Yeah, maybe
go through the director's filmography, but that's it.
Yeah,
it's
just like that. Yeah, it's like they have an end. Like books have an end, you know what I mean? And books, like, also your mind can't sit and read for 8 hours straight. You know what I mean? It's not like video games are just so entertaining that they just suck you in, and then you just like feel like shit. You're like, fuck, what am I doing? To myself, and you just like, well, it's like that's. I guess like what addiction is. It's like doing something when you don't want to do it. It's just like.
Yeah. Like
half the time I did not want to play fucking Skyrim. I was just like, this is what we do. What else am I going to do? Sit and stare at a wall? Because your mind's in that way. It's like, if the Xbox isn't on, there's nothing. It's like, so, it's just fucked. But yeah. Fuck video games, man. No, video games great. Video games are...
When was the last time you played a video game? Do you know?
I did, like, not even that long ago. Like, recently I played through, like, Metal Gear Solid 5. I think, just now it's like, I have an appreciation for, like, other shit. I have other shit. When you're a kid, it's like your life is school and your friends, and all my friends play video games. So what am I gonna do? You get stuck locked in playing video games for fucking too long, and so like now it's like there's still my approach to video games is very different. It's not like just entertainment. Like the video games I play are like ones that people are like, no, it's really good. Like, it's the same approach to movies. Someone's like, oh, it's really good, or like it's also like an approach to art almost.
Yeah.
Like, I want I know some people are like, video games aren't art, but they're a fucking.
They are art to me.
There are games that reach that level. Like fucking Dark Souls was the first time I played through a game, and I went, that actually was like art. You know what I mean? And like, you get an actual feeling, and you know, there's loads to dig into, and it's like you can think about it, and it's like, whoa, it's exploring something, you know. So like, I just have more control now, and I think like when you're a teenager, you don't have a concept of like excess and restraint, so that's where it just like runs wild. That's why like we were the guinea pig generation for like social media and like digital content being just flooded into us. So that's why now, like, I see there's an advert on TV recently was like a kid playing on their iPad, and then it's like if you leave your kids to their devices, they'll get like just sucked into it. And there's like all this stuff about screen time and like
Yeah, I got that shit on lock.
You know what I mean? Like,
and
we
pick up
were,
times is like how many times you picked up your phone today?
Oh, I didn't even know. Like,
Yeah, that's I have to put that on. It's
yeah, I'm better than I used to be. Honestly, like I don't mindlessly scroll through Instagram anymore. Like, very rarely do I just look at Instagram. Like, for me, it's like messages, checking the time. YouTube's a different story, but you know what I mean. Like, but yeah, it's like I hope you're still like getting better at managing it. I think like it's one of those weird things. Like, when you're a kid, you don't think of it as a like this is an issue. It's just looking at images or playing games and stuff, and then you look back and you're like, fuck. It's that fucking death timer, man. You're like, fuck. Like, I wasted all that time, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, I just sat around doing fucking nothing. And now that's why I'm like, I mean, the way I am now, where I'm like, I want to be doing shit, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I've already kind of spent the killable time already is gone. So I'm like, well, now I've got to do
now you
shit.
have to work.
Yeah, now I've got to like get on with shit. And it's like, that's why like also I have to. Like, for me, for photography and things, it's like, that's work, but it's like, I have to do something I love. Because some people are like, you don't want to turn your passion into work. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, my work has to be my passion. Otherwise, I can't do it. Because I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? It doesn't make sense. I'm wasting time. Exactly. And then I'm just out. You know what I mean? What I've been doing. I spoke a lot. I've just rambled. I went on a rant about fucking video games.
I think my question was, when's the last time you played video games? And then you just
yeah, I just went off. I was like,
shit.
Yeah, fuck, man. God, how long have we done? It's like 2.5 hours.
Fuck. It's 5:30, by the way.
5:30?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, watch it.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, we probably should wrap this up. And is there anything else you want to add or talk about or promote or
my social media is Renecide. RENECIDE.
Yeah, I'll put them in there on the page so
yeah.
you can see it. And
you just get Anchor, by the way, for your Spotify and everything. Put it on Spotify.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting until I've got enough episodes.
I just put it
because yeah, I want to get like a logo done. I want to do like probably do a couple more episodes just see, because for all I knew when I started, I was like, especially after last week where I had 4 booked in and 1 actually done, and it was like, oh, is this gonna just flop? But now I'm feeling better about it. So yeah, Spotify's coming soon. You've got that
still
exciting detail out.
It's free, yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, just shout out, of course, one of NN's finest photographers for having me on the show. And I don't really got much to say right now because Women's Week would do. But no, take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully the podcast will continue to be fire like always.
Oh, safe, man.
No
Azim Miah, people, go follow him. Go look at all his videos and watch his podcast on Spotify. It's
pretty
better than
sexy
mine.
visuals.
But yeah, safe.